were made after the Park District's former chief programs officer was asked to resign for his role in that agency's sexual abuse Lifeguard scandal. A measure now on Governor J.B. Pritzker's desk aims to go after fraud from the COVID-19 pandemic. U.S. Congress approved more than $4.5 trillion of taxpayer funding during the COVID-19 pandemic. Illinois' public and private sectors were given more than $160 billion. One of the major areas of known fraud was in the unemployment system. State Representative Dan Calkins says it's about time.
It was extremely how badly Illinois got ripped off in our unemployment fraud. We also, the PPP fraud people were claiming.
House Bill 3304, which passed both chambers unanimously, extends the statute of limitations for the prosecution of any fraudulent activity connected to COVID-19 related programs. It awaits the governor's signature. 3 children and 2 adults are hurt after a school bus crash on the Dan Ryan near Guaranteed Rate Field. The bus rolled over yesterday near 35th Street. The victims hospitalized with minor injuries. A Lake Barrington man with a revoked FOID card is facing charges after accidentally shooting himself while dreaming. Authorities say deputies were called out April 10th to a home on Shoreline Road and located Mark Cara with a gunshot wound to the leg. An investigation later revealed Dakara had a dream that someone was breaking into his home, so he retrieved his revolver and shot at who he believed was the intruder. Turns out he shot himself and then woke up from the dream. Dakara was sent to the hospital, then faced multiple gun charges. Major street closures are causing major disruptions in travel as setup for the upcoming NASCAR street race begins. Here's AM 560's Nikki Whaley.
The NASCAR Chicago street race traffic plan is in effect. The Ida B. Wells Drive is now closed between Michigan Avenue and Columbus Drive. The NASCAR Chicago street race takes place July 1st and 2nd. In the AM 560 The Answer newsroom, I'm Nikki Whaley.
Authorities are investigating after a woman detainee was found unresponsive in a cell in the DuPage County Jail. 50-year-old Renata Hurtado was found yesterday morning by a sheriff's deputy. She was taken to a hospital. She regained consciousness and then later was pronounced dead. A Central Illinois hospital is closing its doors for good, due in part to crippling cyber attacks. St. Margaret's Health, which operates facilities in Peru and Spring Valley, will shut down Friday. Hospital leadership said in 2021 a ransomware attack damaged computer systems and prevented insurance claims from being filed. Officials cited other factors for the closing, including staffing and supply chain issues. Cubs rattled off 14 hits in an 11-3 win over the Pirates at Wrigley Field. Cubs skipper David Ross.
He's the enemy as far as I'm concerned. So glad he had a good night. We won, I guess. But, yeah, I hope he doesn't get another hit the rest of the series. I mean, if I'm being honest, hope none of them do. But, yeah, that's great. Good for him.
David Ross commenting on Chicago native Jack Sawinski, who plays for the Pirates, had a pretty good game. Drew Smiley starts for the Cubs against Pittsburgh tonight. Sox put themselves behind the 8-ball early in a 5-1 loss to the Dodgers in L.A. The news, a service of In Grace with Jim Scudder Jr., now heard Sunday morning at 6:30 on AM 560 The Answer. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Brandon Tatum explains what will win in 2024.
If you were just running for the Republican ticket, then just keep being far-right extreme Republican, and you're going to win. But if you think you're going to get people in the middle, you're going to win an election, you have to be more than the Republicans love you, but the Democrats hate you more. You cannot win with that theology.
The Officer Tatum Show, weeknights at 7, right before Jay Sekulow at 9 on AM 560. The Answer.
Everyone knows that crime is on the rise. It's imperative that law enforcement agents have the information they need to keep citizens safe and protect themselves as well. If you are a sworn law enforcement agent certified in the state of Illinois and working for an agency in Illinois, you might be interested in this announcement. Would you like to have an on-the-job decision-making tool at your fingertips? Law enforcement agency data systems information is available to you at an affordable price when you use the Illinois Public Safety Agency Network products, Bullet or Mini Bullet. Your Android or Apple-based handheld mobile device, phone or tablet can receive this data. In addition, your desktop or laptop can also receive this information via the internet. Just call the Illinois Public Safety Agency Network at 773-693-3000 or visit ipsan.org. And pilot Bullet or Mini Bullet. That's 773-693-3000 or visit ipsan.org.
Are you looking for an interview podcast where you can be entertained and informed? Come check out our new podcast, America's Talking, to hear conversations with great stand-up comedians like Mark Normand.
Norm made you feel smarter than him, even though he was smarter than you.
As well as with leaders in the United States, like former Ambassador Andrew Bremberg.
I remember the fall of the evil empire. When the wall fell, every adult I saw was crying.
I'm your host, Austin Berg, and I want you to join the conversation on our new podcast, America's Talking, right now on Spotify.
Are you looking for a new podcast where you can get your national news from a taxpayer's perspective? Check out the America in Focus podcast featuring the Center Square's Dan McCaleb.
This jobs report, in some ways, it contradicts what I'm seeing anecdotally.
And Casey Harper.
And it's not just the economy. He has a 28% approval on the economy, but he also has 36% approval on foreign policy.
Find America in Focus wherever you get your podcasts and subscribe. That's America in Focus, a news podcast from a taxpayer's perspective.
It's 5:11. Let's get a check on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, a service of Verizon. Ready to take control of your phone plan? Well, then you better make that next turn into a Verizon store, because my plan from Verizon is the kind of control we all deserve. Get exactly what you want, only pay for what you need. Get my plan at your Verizon store today. Edens, Kennedy, Ike, and Stevenson are off on time. Exit ramp construction causing some light delays this morning, southbound on 55, right at 126. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy starts next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with our AccuWeather meteorologist, Steve Williams.
Today, times of clouds and sun. Our high today, 76. It'll be clear tonight, low 62. Sun and clouds with thunder shower and spots tomorrow afternoon. High tomorrow at 79. Mostly sunny, nice day on Friday. High 75. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
59 at O'Hare, next news 530. Chicago's Morning Answer starts next on AM 560, The Answer.
This is Dennis Prager. Sign up today for an unforgettable experience in Israel this October. Mike Gallagher and I are traveling to the Holy Land on the Stand with Israel tour with our trusted partner, Inspiration Cruises and Tours. This trip of a lifetime to Israel is one you don't want to miss. Register today before it's too late at standwithisraeltour.com, standwithisraeltour.com, or call 855-565-5519. 855-565-5519.
Hey, I'm Raquel.
And I'm Babette.
Here to invite you to listen to our show, Belly of the Beast,
where we tackle all the hot topics and issues that you are talking about today.
So join us each week for our
hard-hitting,
fun,
informative,
topical,
out there
radio show where we leave nothing on the table.
Belly of the Beast, heard every Saturday evening at 7, right here on AM 560, The Answer. And follow us on Facebook at Belly of the Beast IL.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart. Every year, more than 4 million pets enter shelters here in the United States. My friends at American Humane have been helping animals since 1877. The goal is to ensure that pets have a safe shelter, especially during natural disasters. Adopting a shelter pet allows shelters to help more animals awaiting care. Please consider adopting today and take some time to learn more about American Humane's other work at americanhumane.org.
The Venture X card from Capital One gives you premium travel benefits, perfect for seeing Taylor Swift The Eras Tour. Presented by Capital One. Oh, I do love her. Earn 5 times miles on flights and 10 times miles on hotels through Capital One Travel.
Enjoy your stay in Suite 13.
Whoa, 13? That's Taylor's lucky number. The Venture X card from Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
When life ends, your legacy begins. Ensure your legacy lives on at Catholic Cemeteries of Chicago, with 47 locations throughout Cook and Lake counties. Take advantage of 0% financing, lock in today's prices, and safeguard yourself against rising inflation. Visit CatholicCemeteryChicago.org or call 708-236-5490 to schedule a free consultation today.
Sean Thompson here for my friend Tom Fortino of Alpha Wealth. There aren't many people who would knowingly leave their job to start another job for a 30% cut in pay. And yet, people do it every day when they enter retirement. Why enter the exciting new chapter of your life with less money? Why trade the stress of work for more stress in retirement? Tom Fortino of Alpha Wealth Group can help. Just call Tom at 630-934-1855 for your complimentary, customized retirement. It addresses many of the big questions you may have, like what to do about Social Security, managing your investments, and how to create income you can never outlive. You can downsize your house, but don't downsize your lifestyle. Get a complimentary, customized retirement plan at 630-934-1855 or visit alphawealthgroup.com. That's alphawealthgroup.com.
Advisory services through Retirement Wealth Advisors, LLC, RWA, an SEC registered investment advisor. RWA and Alpha Wealth Group are independent of each other. Insurance and annuities offered through Alpha Wealth Group, licensed in Illinois.
Attention homeowners. When selling a home, the goal is to minimize your stress and maximize your bottom line. Did you know you can set your selling price and closing date before ever going on the market? Don't go it alone. For over 35 years, the Wexler Group has been minimizing stress for homeowners. Choose one of their top selling programs. Know your closing date and sale price before ever going on the market. The Instant Offer program allows you to sell fast. No hassle, no sign, no online photos, and no cleanup or clean out. With the Guaranteed Sale program, you'll explode onto the market, going for top dollar while already knowing your bottom line and preferred closing date. Either way, know your closing date and sale price first. With the Wexler Group at Keller Williams Preferred Realty, you choose the closing date and sale price up front, and we do the rest. Call 708-629-5151. That's 708-629-5151 or thewexlergroup.com. Make this move your best move ever. Tammy Northcutt and Ron Wexler are Illinois licensed realtors serving 100% of Chicago and its suburbs.
Hi, this is Randy Donnelly from Donnelly Auctions, here to tell you about our upcoming music auction this Wednesday and Thursday in Union, Illinois. We have 2 major collections of antique phonographs and music boxes that will be sold at no reserve. This is a perfect opportunity to purchase a machine for your home or your office or add to your collection. You can choose from hundreds of early cylinder and disc phonographs made by Edison, Victor, or Columbia. And if you love the sound of music boxes, we have a great selection of Reginas and other top brand name music boxes to choose from. This is a live and online auction. You can view it all now and bid online at DonnellyAuctions.com or come to our auction gallery to view and hear the machines play. Preview is Tuesday, June 13th from noon till 8 p.m. The auction begins both Wednesday and Thursday, June 14th and 15th at 10 a.m. For all the details, go to DonnellyAuctions.com. I'm Randy Donnelly, and I'll see you at the auction.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560 The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. I think we need to begin the show today with an offering of praise and thanks to the D.C. Press Corps, particularly those outlets that did not carry former President Trump's remarks from his golf club in Bedminster, New Jersey yesterday live, and for those networks who cut away from his visit to that Cuban cafe in Miami after his arraignment.
Oh, yeah. Jake Tapper was all
because what they did there is they prevented coups in Florida and New Jersey, they saved lives. And out of an abundance of caution, I really appreciate their judgment.
Yes.
Spot on as always.
Well, I got to tell you this, and I have the audio here. I'll send it. But this street reporter for MSNBC and NBC, because major networks took it live too because it's such a big deal. He said that he's in a dangerous situation because they have concealed carry here, and he's like, we have protesters. We don't know who can take out a gun and start shooting. I thought, are you out? I mean, how many times have you been to the state of Florida in a crowd? And that wasn't even the biggest crowd ever. Give me a break.
Point of order.
Yes.
There's right to carry in all 50 states, thanks to some Supreme Court cases that reporter might want to brush up on.
Don't tell me that.
President Trump, at his golf club in Bedminster, I mean, in pertinent part, he justice will come on November 5th of 2024 and special counsel on Biden and so on and so forth. But here's the phrase that pays. Here's the phrase that essentially is the tagline of his campaign over the next year and a half. And I'm assuming, though I don't mean to, that he's going to be the nominee. But if he is the nominee, this will continue to be his tagline. You've heard it before, because nothing has changed since 2016. Remarkable.
They want to take away my freedom because I will never let them take away your freedom. It's very simple. They want to silence me because I will never let them silence you. They want you silent. And I am the only one that can save this nation because they're not coming after me, they're coming after you, and I just happen to be standing in their way, and I will never be moving.
Brilliant. Game over.
On November 5th, 2024, justice will be done. We will take back our country, and we will make America great again.
Have you heard this before?
Thank you. God bless you all. Thank you. Thank you very much.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 646-36DA, turnkey.pro text line.
It's brilliant. I mean, I got the chills.
Well,
because it's all true.
And again, this is early in the process, but the reaction, at least the snap polling, it's only helping his candidacy, as you heard on this show it would. And frankly, it was interesting, and we'll talk to Richard Epstein in the top of the 7 o'clock hour. Great law professor, great legal mind. About this in more detail, but Trump actually laid out some legal arguments during his speech from Bedminster as well. People caught that, including his assertion that the Presidential Records Act is what's controlling in this matter, not the Espionage Act, and that he had every right to keep the documents that he kept, that it's within his complete discretion as a president of the United States to do so, different than a Secretary of State, for example.
Right.
So it was just interesting that he's sort of starting to publicly make arguments that will undoubtedly inform the jury pool, both political arguments and legal arguments, as he did yesterday.
There was no harm done. There was no harm done to this country. And that is key because it's an essential element to the crime of espionage. So who was harmed? And then yesterday, the judge, the proceeding was supposed to take 15 minutes. It took 47 minutes because she was deciding who he can and cannot have contact with. And then they were, because his valet is also being charged, but his valet still works for him. So his valet can continue to work with him. They can talk, but they can't talk about the case.
Something else, too, a couple points that Holman Jenkins made in his piece in the Wall Street Journal, which is worth checking out, if nothing else but for his excellent Evelyn Waugh reference. And I'm a big Evelyn Waugh fan. But I digress. Like any president, writes Holman Jenkins, Mr. Trump's head is already so full of classified information from 4 years of daily briefings, he doesn't need documents to pose a threat to national security, if he wanted to. Recall also that President Obama, after Trump's surprise win, broadened the distribution of Russia-related intelligence to encourage leaks. Americans might be wondering why they should care about all of this. the Justice Department's own Inspector General would refer FBI Chief Comey for criminal investigation over leaks. The FBI number 2 was fired for lying about leaks. Leaks from the House Intelligence Committee Democrats and staff were standard fare in the political warfare against Trump. Even a leaky British ex-spy, Steele, peddling tall tales on behalf of his political clients, complained about FBI leaks. Mr. Smith, Jack Smith, opts not to follow the example of John Durham, who refrained from piling on the charges, as if his goal wasn't bullying his targets into submission, but simply informing the public about the FBI's role in the collusion hoax. The sought-after Trump documents have all been back in the government's hands since last year, and yet Trump may find little legal leg to stand on. But only a conformist and unimaginative press can believe the story ends there. The 7-year battle between Trump and our intelligence agencies was destined to begin anew if he insisted on running in 2024. The war supplies even him with a motive for running, so he can argue to a jury he's being prosecuted only because he's beating Biden in the polls, which is exactly, of course, what Trump is arguing in part. A diligent reader will know, a diligent reader of Holman Jenkins will know that he doesn't want a Trump-Biden rematch, so that includes not wanting Trump. But, he understands that what is being described as unprecedented, what's unprecedented is the indictment, obviously, but what is otherwise being described as unprecedented is not only not unprecedented in a meaningful, substantive way, it's been the standard operating procedure for the last couple of presidents, last few presidents, and certainly the permanent administration in Washington, D.C. in the form of these intel and law enforcement agencies. Take a couple calls. Joe in Hoffman Estates, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, good morning, guys. After 2.5 years of the media just beating Trump up day in and day out, and Trump really not having a platform to counter, I started questioning whether I like the guy or if he's even a good guy. And after listening to him yesterday, it brought clarity back in that the mainstream media is out of their mind. And I can't wait for 2024 to re-vote, and I'm going to vote for Trump.
Wow.
Thanks. All right, Joe, thanks. Philip in Blue Island.
After all of these pictures came out about all of these files and all of these records.
You mean the ones in
the
the ones in the Corvette or the garage or the University of Penn think tank? Which pictures?
No, but if you compare the two, I know the Republicans have got to be shocked at the volume compared to the Corvette or compared to anywhere else.
Because volume matters.
That's a lot. I mean, but I'm just saying that and I called to talk about the whole theme of lock her up. Would it be proper? Would it be? It probably wouldn't be good, but I can put lock him up.
Go ahead.
Lock him up.
Go ahead, do it.
I mean, because again, if you all are going to put all of your back into Trump camp, you're going to get the same results.
I mean, a victory, 2016, same results as 2016. Thanks for the call, Phil. Go ahead with lock her up. The difference, as we've talked about since his indictment, is that's all fun political sloganeering, and that's great fodder for rallies. And at the end of the day, when he was elected and he had a chance to push that, what did he do?
He didn't do it.
He didn't push it.
No.
Because there were just bigger fish to fry. Number one. Number two, while people could have felt good about a reckoning, I mean, and you can argue that he legitimately should have pursued it, or that Department of Justice under Sessions or Barr should have pursued it, because there needs to be a reckoning to stop the election interference by these agencies, to stop the one set of laws for some and not for others based on political affiliation or particular views on important geopolitical issues, which is a commentary from Tucker Carlson that we'll get to a little bit later. But he didn't do it because he understood the political implications of spending all that time to go after a his political opponent from that presidential election and, take the nation into sort of a permanent 2016 stasis. So he didn't do it. And I guess that's the difference between Trump and Republicans and the left. They will do it. So congratulations on being on that side, I guess, Philip. You might want to ask yourself, like I prompt you to ask about all of the candidates you supported in Illinois who were victorious. What do you think you won exactly?
Right.
Is this what winning looks like to you?
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 5:38, we will move to bring Tucker Carlson into the conversation. His latest Twitter episode. I guess he's not complying with that Fox cease and desist order. His latest Twitter episode tackles his belief as to why Trump is being targeted for spending the rest of his life in prison. That's at 5:38.
And later, Hillary Clinton has a new name for Republicans. We're part of something, she says. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
61 degrees at 5:30. Former President Donald Trump lashing out at the special prosecutor in the federal case he was arraigned on yesterday.
Two things Jack Smith clearly disdains. You take a look at this guy. He looks like a thug.
Speaking to reporters at his New Jersey golf club, Trump called Jack Smith a raging, uncontrolled Trump hater. Ohio Senator J.D. Vance this morning now plans to delay the confirmation process for Justice Department nominees over the federal indictment of Donald Trump. The Republican saying the Attorney General, Merrick Garland, is abusing the DOJ power.
It's very clear that what they're being used for is to attack Joe Biden's political opponents. We've got to stop it. We've got to show Merrick Garland there are consequences to using the Department of Justice in this way.
The White House has stressed the Justice Department played no part in the indictment of Donald Trump. Testimony resumes today in the Capitol murder trial of accused Tree of Life synagogue shooter Robert Bowers. Bowers is charged with the murders of 11 in October of 2018 at the Pittsburgh synagogue. Several buildings destroyed after a huge fire broke out in New Jersey overnight. Fire began in an abandoned warehouse along South River, then spread to homes and other buildings in the area before firefighters finally brought it under control. Authorities say at least 32 people this morning have died after a fishing boat carrying dozens of illegal migrants capsized and sank off the southern coast of Greece. There's a large search and rescue operation underway. 104 have been rescued so far. Many more are missing. Here in Chicago, some illegal migrants are calling Daly College home for the time being. The group was moved from a shuttered YMCA on the north side to the southwest side college yesterday. A person is in critical condition after tumbling onto the CTA tracks Tuesday evening. It happened around 7:30 near the Garfield CTA Red Line station. When firefighters arrived, they transported the individual to the University of Chicago Medical Center in critical condition. Highland Park residents continue to demand enhanced safety measures at their local high school. They're calling for metal detectors and more armed security. During a school board meeting last night, the topic was not on the agenda, but groups of parents spearheading efforts for more security brought it up again. Pulitzer Prize-winning author Cormac McCarthy is dead at the age of 89. His publisher confirmed the news. McCarthy, most well known for his books that later became films like No Country for Old Men and All the Pretty Horses. Cubs rattle off 14 hits and an 11-3 win over the Pirates at Wrigley Field. White Sox, a 5-1 loss to the Dodgers at Dodgers Stadium. Bears continue minicamp at Hallis Hall. The news, a service of MyPillow. Big news, the brand new MyPillow 2.0 is now buy one, get one free with promo code LIBERTY. Visit MyPillow.com, use promo code LIBERTY. A check of traffic and weather is on the way next on AM 560.
Charlie Kirk always gives you the hard facts.
They wanted to use the 14th Amendment to increase the debt ceiling. No negotiations. We're not going to talk about anything. The government is 40% bigger than it was pre-COVID. The Leviathan, the beast, the bureaucracy, the fourth branch of government is 40% bigger. Is your family income 40% higher? Is your family wealth 40% higher?
The Charlie Kirk Show. Afternoons at 1, right before Sebastian Gorka at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
Did your parents ever say nothing good happens after midnight? Well, that's true when the Democrats are passing budgets. At 2:30 a.m. on the Saturday of Memorial Day weekend, Illinois Democrats passed the largest general revenue budget in the state's history. They funded free housing, health care, education, food stamps, legal services, and more for people living here illegally. The Democrat leaders said that the budget reflected their priorities. They also funded legislator pay raises. Now your legislator will make $89,675 for a part-time job. That's a 32% increase in just 4 years. Among the items not funded were immediate replacement of lead water pipes in low-income neighborhoods, despite lead being a well-known health risk, and scholarships for kids in failing schools. Putting the people in office who forward good policy begins by being informed. Subscribe to our newsletter and listen to our podcasts at breakthrough-ideas.com. That's breakthrough-ideas.com.
Hey, everybody. Charlie Kirk here. Freedom Square is an unbelievable service designed to unite freedom-loving Americans. I know these guys. They love their country, and they're doing an amazing job. You can log on now to create your free personalized dashboard. All of your favorite news sites, podcasters, all on one site, all at your fingertips. Sign up your business right now at freedomsquare.com and start connecting with freedom-loving Americans. Look, people want businesses they can support. You want to know the good guys from the bad guys. That's freedomsquare.com. Log on right now and create your personalized dashboard. Join us in the fight, so check it out. freedomsquare.com. Freedom lives here.
Let's welcome our new Freedom Square Business Network members. Lore TV, DS Arms Lake Barrington, Villa Park Office Equipment, and Every Black Life Matters. It's time to unite and vote with your dollars. Download the Freedom Square app and register your business right now at freedomsquare.com and start connecting with patriots. Freedom Square. Freedom lives here.
Now there's a simple, easy, and effective way to clean your nose and protect your health. It's called Navage. Navage, available at navage.com.
5:36. Let's get an update on the roads in our Team Hawkbird Traffic Center. Couple of notes. Inbound Kennedy jammed up already. Nagel into Montrose, 26 minutes in. As you travel from O'Hare into the Burn Circle interchange, southbound 55 jammed up right at Route 126. The exit ramp there is closed with ongoing road work until 6 a.m. Bishop Ford already slowing up inbound Cottage Grove into the Ryan Merge. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Finally, a warmer day ahead. Clouds and sun will top out at 76. 59 right now. Next news at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Before we get to Tucker, let's do a little housekeeping. The other side of the aisle, that would be with respect to Biden, Inc. Yesterday, the FBI's deputy director, Paul Abate, was before the Senate Judiciary Committee. And you can imagine Republicans, starting with Texas Senator Ted Cruz, were interested in discussing some of the allegations that have been made by an FBI confidential informant that were memorialized in one of the documents that finally Christopher Wray turned over to House oversight under threat of not just after subpoena, but under threat of a contempt proceeding. It's not exactly forthcoming. And then we learned, as we discussed yesterday, that the confidential informant also says that the Ukrainian oligarch who heads up Burisma, who put Hunter Biden on the board at Burisma, allegedly paid Hunter Biden the $5 million bribe, along with Joe Biden a $5 million bribe to get rid of a prosecutor that was looking into Burisma, that there are 17 taped conversations he made with the Bidens, 15 with Hunter and 2 with the big guy, for insurance. And so Ted Cruz wanted to know a little bit more about this.
What is this? Yeah.
Is there an investigation? Can you confirm the existence of these tapes?
Where are the tapes now?
What are you doing about it? Well, as probably won't surprise you, but it is remarkable in this context to watch these senior level FBI folks behave with the imperiousness with which they behave. It really is. They are so tone deaf. I guess they think that this is all just bluster and it'll go away, and maybe it will. I hope it doesn't, but maybe it will. So, on the alleged 17 recordings of Hunter and the big guy, well, this is how that went.
Deputy Director Abate, is it true that the FBI has a report making those allegations?
I'm not going to comment on that, Senator.
And why is that?
I'm just not going to comment on information we received, investigations.
Do you owe an obligation to the American people to be candid about evidence of corruption by the President of the United States?
This is an area that I'm not going to get into with you, Senator.
Well, I understand you don't want to, and that's why people are mad at the FBI, because you're stonewalling and covering up serious allegations of evidence of corruption from the president. Yesterday, Senator Chuck Grassley stood on the Senate floor and alleged that there are 17 recordings of this informant from Burisma, Ukrainian natural gas company. 15 of them are recordings, voice recordings of him talking to Hunter Biden. 2 of them are voice recordings of him talking to Joe Biden. Deputy Director Abate, does the FBI have 17 voice recordings laying out evidence of a bribery scheme?
Senator, I would add also that we've worked with the House Oversight Committee.
Yeah, this is the Senate. We're the other side of the Capitol. This is the Senate. Do you have those 17 recordings?
I'm not going to comment on any investigative matters, Senator.
See, that's the problem. The FBI, and I've had this conversation with Chris Wray, too. This is why you are damaging the institution. The American people have a right to know whether there is serious, credible evidence that the President of the United States took a $5 million bribe. And by the way, if it's false, Chairman Durbin just rolled his eyes. If Chairman Durbin were interested in the rule of law, we would have a hearing on these allegations. But of course, the Democrats don't want a hearing on these allegations. And to be clear, if the allegations are false, you know who could disprove them? Joe Biden. He could call for this to be released publicly. But the FBI is stonewalling.
If Chairman Durbin were interested in the rule of law, he wouldn't be the senior senator from Illinois. So the stonewalling accusation, the accusation that the FBI is politicized. FBI Deputy Director Paul Abate responded to that, and that led to another Jeremiah ad from Ted Cruz.
And I reject your assertion that the FBI is politicized.
Why did you refuse to answer my question?
I just answered your question.
Okay. So, yes, you have a 1023. Do you have the 17 recordings? Yes or no?
I'm not going to get further into that.
So you're stonewalling. You can't say I'm not refusing to answer your question, but I won't answer your question.
I'm going to answer within the parameters that we operate in. Here.
That's the problem. The FBI has right now an unlimited hubris that you believe you are unaccountable. You don't believe you're accountable to the United States Congress, and you don't believe you're accountable to the American people.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line.
I mean, can you imagine if they had 17 recordings with President Trump or one of his sons? That would be, I mean, they'd be having hearings today.
Well, the interesting thing is when he pressed Abadi again on disclosing to that committee, the Senate Judiciary Committee, at least whether or not these items exist, Abadi sort of conceded that they do by saying he'll, go back to HQ and talk it over with the other G-men. So one more run around the track with Cruz and Abadi, and Cruz's final word on the matter as his time had expired.
Will you provide the FD 1023, yes or no?
I will take that back, and we will work with our
So you're
team
not
to-
answering that. Will you provide the 17 recordings?
We will take that back, and we'll work with you.
So you're not answering that either. Did you investigate in any way, shape, or form these allegations?
Senator, once again, I'm not going to comment.
So
on
you're not going to say
investigating.
whether you did your job?
We do our job to the very best of our ability.
Well, not here. You're not answering a single question to the American people. And you may think this is esoteric. I promise you, millions of Americans are concerned. You know who isn't concerned? Not a single Senate Democrat. We're going to go through this whole hearing. Not one Democrat will ask a question about this. You know who else isn't concerned? The corporate media, who is joining with the Democrats in covering up this evidence. If Joe Biden is innocent, the evidence should be made public and demonstrate that he's innocent. But if he is not, is it true this informant who alleged that he personally took a bribe was an informant the FBI had relied upon previously in other investigations? Yes or no?
In each and every investigation that we have, all the work that we do,
I asked you
the
yes or no
expectation
question.
is that every logical avenue investigation be pursued
I asked you a
to
yes
its
or no
fullest.
question. Are you going to answer it?
Yeah, I'm answering your question.
Was the informant one you had relied on previously in other investigations? Yes or no?
Senator, we run down every piece of information. Every
You're not
lead,
answering it then. You're refusing to answer
objectively,
it. So you're refusing to answer the
to
question.
the fullest extent possible.
You're refusing to answer the
relentlessly,
question. Is that
and
correct?
aggressively in all instances.
Senator, your
It's
time is
disgraceful. It's disgraceful, Deputy Director Abate. Disgraceful.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. Ted Cruz also said in that exchange that he gets asked all the time when he goes back to Texas, should we defund the FBI? Or he gets, perhaps more than asked, he gets accosted. Why don't we defund the FBI? I think is probably more accurate. And he says, and I say no because there are so many good men and women at the FBI who do good law enforcement work and capture child predators and so on and so forth. That sort of cover for the FBI is wearing very, very thin, for me at least. I don't know about you. Yes, I concede the point that of the 30,000 employees of the Federal Bureau of Investigations, there are many patriotic Americans who are good law enforcement people who do good work, and there's good support staff who is not political, that does good work and are focused on capturing the Ted Kaczynskis of the world and others. But, those good people can find jobs and other jobs in law enforcement. And maybe there is a place for a federal law enforcement agency like the FBI that has much more limited scope. Although the problem, of course, is what's the incentives and the inertia once an agency is established in D.C. is for it to grow. This is how you have a government as bloated as the one we have in D.C. So I don't know how you reconstitute something that doesn't fall prey to the larger culture in D.C. It's not just an FBI cultural problem. It's a federal government cultural problem to a large extent, certainly with respect to Leviathan's expansion. So that the whole, we got to reform the FBI. We just senior leadership change. The senior leadership keeps changing. and then the FBI's behavior doesn't change. Like the interfering in elections. Like the politicization of the agency. So I don't know that it's reformable. Sort of like saying that the Chicago public school system needs a senior leadership change. Yeah, I think you have a system problem here, not just a personnel problem. It is also a personnel problem, but it's a system problem at this point, it seems to me. And so, I'm just not persuaded anymore the way that Ted Cruz is, and that may be for political expediency's sake at this point, that we can say there's all these good rank and file agents, which I concede, but that is enough to say the FBI should be dealt with on the margins rather than as an entity. That the question shouldn't be that whether or not it exists, but how it exists. No, I think the question right now is whether or not it should exist at all. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. Glenn in Oak Brook, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, good morning. I'm with you, Dan. I think it's time for the FBI to be disbanded and defunded. I also think that if every FBI agent swore an oath to the Constitution and something illegal is going on in the organization, it's their duty to become whistleblowers, and everybody needs to come to the table and talk about what's going wrong. Everybody.
Thanks for the call, Glenn.
I don't think they'd come to the table. They're too arrogant. They're intoxicated by their own power.
Well, some have. We have IRS whistleblowers.
Oh, yes.
We have FBI whistleblowers. Some have testified. Some names we know. Some have called out, privately, the attempts to spike the Hunter Biden investigation and other such matters. So it's happened, but
they're still doing what they're doing. They're dragging their feet on the Hunter Biden investigation. They're dragging their feet on President Biden's documents that he had in his house. But they're rushing everything for Trump.
It just seems, too, that like
there's no trust there.
Like so many of these agencies, you can't work around the principle. So if the principal is somebody like J. Edgar Hoover, I'm sure there were agents during J. Edgar Hoover's time that didn't appreciate his keeping of an enemies list, didn't appreciate the spying that was done on Martin Luther King, or even the Black Panthers for that matter. But I mean, so it's like the FBI. This is just a modern problem. No, I mean, it's sort of been endemic to a large extent. The targets are different now, but the problem has grown, if anything.
Right. They've become more politicized over the years, and they have an agenda.
So I would think that, for communities felt they were targeted by the FBI previously, like the black community during the civil rights era, there would be an appreciation for what we're saying about what we're seeing. No? Marty in Naperville.
Good morning. First of all, when the man with the perfect first name, Dick Durbin, gets mentioned rolling his eyes, he wasn't rolling his eyes, he was probably waking up. But regardless, second of all, was it Jim Jordan who was interviewing an FBI agent, if you will, one time and said, wouldn't the perfect answer be no? Remember, he was asking a question and the woman wouldn't answer. And he said, well, wouldn't the perfect answer be no? And this guy's not answering no to anything. But the problem is, this will never get reported except for on stations like yours. Nobody will ever hear this. This exchange with this FBI guy. Nobody will ever hear it except, the ones that know the situation.
Thanks for the call, Marty. Well, Kevin McCarthy, again, exceeding expectations. I mean, he took up this issue in a roundabout way when he was pressed by a CNN reporter who shall remain nameless. I don't know why nobody is willing to name her. I don't know who she is, but it doesn't really matter, I suppose.
That's so goofy, though.
Kevin McCarthy being pressed by a CNN reporter about his position vis-a-vis Trump post-indictment, and he provides the following pushback.
I mean, the former president is accused of misleading law enforcement, of a conspiracy of obstructing justice. That's a different set of facts. Are you prepared to defend him as the former president, and what other actions will the House take in the House Judiciary Committee in terms of funding?
Are you prepared to defend your network, CNN? I'm answering your question. You could ask me any question you want, but I'm entitled to answer the question, okay? You can't put words in my mouth. Even though your network can hire Andrew McCabe, who was fired from the FBI for leaking classified documents. Did you remove him from your network? No, you continue to put him on to give judgment against President Trump.
Speaker.
You also hire Clapper. Clapper has come out publicly.
Mr. Speaker,
and
what steps is the House going to take in terms of, is there any effort to defund the FBI, any effort to defund the Department of Justice after what you've seen over the last several days?
So your network hires Clapper, who literally lied to the American public, one of 51 other individuals that had briefings and used it politically to tell the American public that a laptop was Russia collusion, even though it had all this information about the Biden administration. Are you prepared to get rid of those people from your network? Because my concern as a policymaker is that when you weaponize government and now you're weaponizing networks, that is wrong. So we will take all of our power to make sure that the legal system in America gets the blinders back on and people are treated fairly.
It was good. I mean, it's a good exchange to focus on that. By the way, Clapper didn't just lie as one of the 51 on the Hunter Biden laptop has all the earmarks of a Russian disinformation campaign. He also lied to Congress about the metadata collection.
Yeah.
And that was exposed by the Snowden leaks, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. But by the way, on that letter too, I love the defense that's being offered by some of those 51 signatories are speaking. Hey, we said we didn't know. Oh, really? So let me just understand the position of the FBI and the CIA and the DNI, the intelligence, law enforcement state. Let me just understand. You just throw assertions out there and you say, well, we don't have any evidence. But this is what we think. Is that how you do your job? Rather than waiting to have evidence and say we're taking this position, we're making this point, we're walking down this track based on this evidence, based on this logic, right? We have evidence, then we make a decision. We have no evidence, and we just opine in an open-ended fashion. But, hey, we qualified it saying we don't have any evidence. Remarkable. And these are your heads of intelligence and law enforcement agencies. We're not going to defund the Department of Justice, obviously, but the Attorney General, cabinet post, and so forth. But you can send a message that would reverberate through the intelligence community by doing something transformative, to borrow a favorite word of the left, with respect to the FBI. Jim in Crown Point.
Yeah, the FBI, CIA, Democratic Party, they're all in it so deep, they cannot give 1 ounce of information out. They go after Trump and mirror him. He's the guy that's corrupt, not Biden. There's no way. The FBI, they can't even say, I'll take the 5th. That would be an admission of guilt. They say, it's under investigation, we can't discuss it. They gave a Pulitzer Prize to people on a fake investigation. They cannot get off what they're doing. Otherwise, it's a house of cards.
Thanks, Jim. Phil in Maryville.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that the FBI, they operate in complete secrecy, unlike the presidents. They got people watching them constantly. They're talking to people constantly. And as we have seen through Congress and all the Republicans, the FBI has the ability to lie to them, basically cheat or even alter evidence if they want to, and they have no one to answer to. They can bring this country down by them alone. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Phil. All right, coming up at 6:06. Tucker Carlson has a novel argument about the Trump prosecution/persecution. We'll hear it and take your reaction at 6:06.
But now let's head into the newsroom for news here at home and around the world. The one and only Mike Scott. Good morning, Mike. How are you?
Amy and Dan, migrants moved from a Chicago YMCA to Daly College. A man driving a party bus struck a woman on a pedicab in Wrigleyville. Chicago Ethics Board is looking to amend their ethics ordinance after a Tribune headline story. 3 children and 2 adults hurt after a school bus crash on the Dan Ryan. A Lake Barrington man is charged after shooting himself while dreaming. Cubs beat the Pirates. Slow start dooming the White Sox. The Bears begin minicamp and a warmer day ahead with clouds and sun and a high of 76. WIND Chicago News Time is 6 o'clock.
It's evil and heinous. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That's what former President Trump claims, saying President Biden's trying to take him out. He held a fundraiser hours after he went to federal court in Miami to face 37 criminal charges related to his handling of classified documents, including obstruction of justice.
The president, who together with a band of his closest thugs, misfits, and Marxists, tried to destroy American democracy.
Speaking to hundreds of supporters at his Bedminster, New Jersey club, former President Trump says he's the target of a political persecution straight out of a fascist or communist nation.
This day will go down in infamy.
In a half-hour address, the former president and leading Republican presidential candidate says many predecessors have mishandled documents and faced no consequences, saying the special counsel, Jack Smith, is a thug.
That's Fox's Jared Halpern. The former president said nothing in court when he was arraigned.
Charges were read to him. He pleaded not guilty to all 37 of them. The judge released the former president on his own recognizance and with the order not to speak to any of the witnesses. One of them is his co-defendant, Walt Nauta, his personal assistant.
Fox's Evan Brown in Miami. Nauta is also charged and the Trump in court, but was not able to enter a plea yet. Secretary of State Antony Blinken had a rare direct conversation today with China's foreign minister ahead of a Blinken trip to China to deal with rising U.S.-Chinese tension. More Russian attacks in Ukraine today have killed at least 6 civilians.
Dozens were hurt in this aerial assault on the southern city of Odessa and the eastern region of Donetsk. Ukraine says Russia has stepped up aerial strikes at the same time as the Ukrainians attempt a counteroffensive. That campaign has so far brought some limited gains.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. As if they needed another reason to party late into the night in Vegas.
The silver trophy to the Golden Knights.
That's the final call on TNT when Vegas won hockey's Stanley Cup, their first NHL championship, beating Florida 9-3 in Game 5 of the final. America's listening to Fox.
59 degrees. It is 6:02 on AM 560, The Answer, and good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Some illegal migrants are now calling Daly College in Chicago home for the time being. The group moved from a shuttered YMCA on the north side to the Southwest Side College yesterday. The move had been delayed by the city after some local pushback. A person is in critical condition after falling onto the CTA tracks last night. Chicago Fire Department responded to a call of a person hit by a train around 7:30. A person was transported to the University of Chicago Medical Center in critical condition. A measure now on Governor J.B. Pritzker's desk aims to go after fraud from the COVID-19 pandemic. One of the major areas of known fraud was in the unemployment system of the state. State Representative Dan Calkin says the issue is a real breach of taxpayer trust.
It was extremely problematic, and we still to this day don't know how badly Illinois got ripped off in our unemployment fraud. We also, the PPP fraud people were claiming.
Meantime, here in Chicago, CPS is boosting funding for the vast majority of its public schools next fall. Overall, the school system spending remains steady at about $9.4 billion for the next school year. But more money will go directly to schools. 25 schools will face cuts of at least $75,000. Chicago Department of Public Health is confirming the first West Nile virus positive mosquito batch in the city. However, no human cases have been reported this year. Cubs an 11-3 whipping of the Pirates at Wrigley Field, while the White Sox lost to the Dodgers in L.A. 5-1. The news, a service of MyPillow. Big news. Brand new MyPillow 2.0. Buy one, get one free. Promo code Liberty. Machine washable, dryable, a 60-day money-back guarantee. MyPillow.com. Promo code Liberty. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dad, come watch me play soccer. Dad, can you read me a story? Hey, Dad, I need help with my homework.
We ask a lot from our dads, and they do a lot for us. Wouldn't it be great to give something special back to your dad this Father's Day? Well, our friends at Woodland Windows and Doors want to help you do just that when you enter to win $2,000 in cash for Dad. Just go to 560theanswer.com/dad to enter between now and June 15th. That's 560theanswer.com/dad. Presented by Woodland Windows and Doors.
What happens when America's debt bubble finally bursts? The dollar's value would be destroyed along with the value of your 401k or IRA. And this would be a total catastrophe for the nation. Hi, I'm Dr. Ron Paul, and the debt bubble is just one more reason why I recommend diversifying your retirement accounts into physical gold. Gold can preserve your savings through almost anything. And if you take advantage of a gold IRA from Birch Gold Group, you pay 0 penalties or taxes when you transfer your current retirement funds. To learn more, text the word PROTECT to 989898, and my friends at Birch Gold Group will send you a free info kit on gold IRAs. Birch Gold is the only gold IRA company I trust, so text PROTECT to 989898 to request your free kit on gold IRAs right now.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
So I figured turning 65, I'd try Balance of Nature to see why not, give it a shot. And it's absolutely changed my life. I'm going to cry. I have more energy now than I did when I was in my 40s. It's brought back my life to me, and it's given me the energy that I was so missing, and I wasn't enjoying life because of it, and now I am. So I just wanted to thank Dr. Doug for everything he's done with this, and truly it has changed my life.
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first preferred order. That's 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
It's a big deal because your finances are a really big deal. Wintrust Community Banks would like to announce our newest and greatest 11-month CD rate with a whopping 5.35% APY. Act now and you can lock in 5.35%. Just go to wintrust.com/locknewrates and start earning more. Annual percentage yield accurate as of May 5th, 2023 and assumes funds remain on deposit until maturity. Minimum daily balance of 1 cent required to obtain APY. $1,000 minimum to open. New money only. Offer may change at any time and without notice. Member FDIC.
6:07. Let's get an update on the roads. The Team Hochberg Traffic Center this morning. We're seeing big delays already on the Edens, 23 minutes in from Lake Cook Road into the junction. 42 in on the Kennedy from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Brake lights Montrose to Armitage this morning. The Ike at 33, 390 to the old post office. Dan Ryan, 16 minutes, 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Tri-State, slow and go due to traffic jamming up on the outbound Eisenhower ramp. Tri-State has an accident on the right shoulder as well as you're traveling between 394 and the Lincoln Oasis. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Today, some sun and clouds. High today, 76. Clear skies tonight, low 62. And then sun and clouds, a thunder shower in the area tomorrow, a high 79. Mostly sunny, comfortable day Friday, high 75. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
At 6:08, it's time to visit signaturebank.bank and time to check the updated temperatures. 59 right now at O'Hare. Your next news update is at 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560 The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So Tucker Carlson released his third episode of his show, if you will, on Twitter. You know, it's a 10, 12-minute commentary that he used to lead his Fox show with.
That would help if I turned my mic on. I want him to expand it, though, to a half-hour show and then bring some guests on. I think that would be interesting, but I don't know if he will do it or if he even can do it.
The backstory of this now is sort of fun, intriguing. I think Tucker is prepared to walk away from whatever money he's arguably owed by Fox, given that he's openly defying the cease and desist letter they sent. I guess what Chadwick Moore told us, his biographer, that he doesn't believe that Twitter is covered in his non-compete. That's clearly what he believes because he's acting like it. But anyway, that's a tangent. He made an argument about Trump's prosecution that I'm not buying in total. Well, fundamentally, his thesis I'm not buying, but I want to get your view on whether you think he's over the target here. Tucker says this was inevitable. This was inevitable as soon as he said what he said on a debate stage on February 16th, 2016 in Greenville, South Carolina.
Remember the day?
The statement that he made on that debate stage guaranteed that if he were elected, that if he were reelected, or as it turned out, if he lost and then ran again, that he would be prosecuted criminally by this federal government.
Because of this one statement that he made back in the day during a debate.
So here's Tucker Carlson set up the statement and his conclusion. See if you agree.
But when Congress decides to start a war, no matter how foolish or counterproductive or obviously disconnected from America's core interests that war may be, when that happens, the leaders of both parties automatically jump behind it like circus clowns. And then they stay there, sometimes for decades. They defend that war relentlessly against all evidence until somebody finally rings the all-clear bell and they can begin to admit that actually, maybe it wasn't such a great idea. We meant well, but it just didn't work out. The good news is we've learned a lot of important lessons. In the end, they usually do say something like that, but only after emotions have cooled and the damning details have begun to fade from collective memory. It's an apology that's not actually an apology, much less repentance, and it's years too late to matter in any case. But until then, that's all you're getting. Until then, no dissent is allowed. That's the first rule of Washington. But somehow, Trump didn't bother to follow it. He is from out of town, so maybe he didn't know it was a rule, or maybe he just didn't care. Either way, 7.5 years later, we can point to the precise moment that permanent Washington decided to send Donald Trump to prison. Here it is. It's from the Republican candidates debate in Greenville, South Carolina.
We should have never been in Iraq. We have destabilized the Middle East. They lied.
Okay.
They said there were weapons of mass destruction. There were none, and they knew there were none. There were no weapons of mass destruction.
All right.
We should never have been in Iraq, Trump said. We destabilized the Middle East. Now, by the time Trump said that, a lot of Republican primary voters were starting to reach the same conclusion. How could they not? But it was the next line that doomed Trump to today's arrest.
The next line when he said they knew and they lied. So what Tucker is saying is there's a war party in D.C. That's the real uniparty. And that's what he's saying. No dissent is allowed, because not only is it the viewpoint of those in charge, it's what binds them all together in D.C., in Northern Virginia, that pays all their bills, that allows them to live lives of comfort. The billions and billions of dollars that go to, as Dwight D. Eisenhower would call it, the military-industrial complex. And if you say what Trump said, this is the Tucker argument, then you're not just disagreeing, you're not just threatening their power, you're also threatening their livelihoods. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636-DA, turnkey.pro text line. It was inexorable that Trump, if he stuck around, would wind up being criminally prosecuted for his opposition to the war party, the neocons and those who beat the drums of war on the left. It was inevitable. That's what Tucker believes about D.C. and Trump's disruption in that place.
What do you think about, do you agree with that one? Because I heard it and I said, no. I think that they got him yesterday on his second indictment after 2 impeachments while he was in office because of what Julie Kelly said, because they couldn't get him on January 6th. And they're not going to be able to get him on, creating an alleged insurrection on that day.
Another piece of the Tucker theory is how Trump's administration was infiltrated by these war-disposed neocons of which he speaks. And the people that got close to Trump did so through being obsequious, because Trump is vulnerable to flattery, as we've seen. And so he likes to have people that are singing his praises around him, which is really one of his character flaws, no doubt about it. And it's been the source of a lot of the consternation around Trump, and has impeded his success, both as a politician and as a president. That's my view on the flattering. So I think he's got that right. I'm not sure that I would take it as far as Tucker did, but he singles out Pompeo, Pence, and Nikki Haley, and specifically Mike Pompeo, per what he said about the indictment of Trump over the handling of classified docs, which you'll hear. Flatterers who infiltrated the Trump administration on behalf of the D.C. war party to hollow it out from within.
And he called Pompeo the biggest flatterer of all time.
Mike Pence, Nikki Haley, Mike Pompeo, Lindsey Graham in the Congress. They all called Trump a visionary genius up until the moment he lost power. And then they unsheathed their real agenda, as always the neocon war agenda, and they piled on with maximum force. Here's Mike Pompeo, for example, on Fox News this morning.
President Trump had classified documents where he shouldn't have had them, and then when given the opportunity to return them, he chose not to do that for whatever reason. When somebody identifies that, you got to turn them in. And so that's inconsistent with protecting America's soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines. And if the allegations are true, some of these were pretty serious, important documents. And so that's wrong.
May future historians hoping to unlock the mysteries of late Empire Washington study that clip, because it will reveal everything. That very same Mike Pompeo, the one who's sneering at Donald Trump on TV this morning, that guy served Donald Trump as both CIA director and as Secretary of State. Those are the 2 most powerful jobs in the federal government. And as he worked in those jobs, Pompeo promised, in fact, he swore, to support the president's agenda. Why? Because that's the way a democracy works. You vote for a candidate in the belief that his appointees will carry out the policies that you voted for. It's not about the president, it's about you, the voter. But Pompeo didn't do that. He didn't even try to do that. In fact, he undermined Trump's often stated commitment to peace and non-intervention abroad at every turn. His every waking hour was devoted to fomenting war in some faraway foreign country or other. Iran, Syria, Russia, North Korea, the list goes on. But rather than telling Trump that he disagreed with his ideas, as a man would, Pompeo toadied up to Trump, a man he despised, in the oiliest, most over-the-top way imaginable. Ask anyone who worked in that White House at the time, Who is the appointee most likely to tell Donald Trump on a daily basis that he was handsome, virile, sleek, and powerful? Mike Pompeo. That will be the consensus answer. Those of us who saw firsthand Pompeo's relentless kowtowing will never forget it. It was indelibly repulsive. No one with self-respect could do something like that. But Mike Pompeo did it effortlessly, with relish and verve. Now, this same person is telling Fox News viewers that he fears for the safety of our military, our soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines, in the approved phrase, because Donald Trump took some classified documents home and didn't immediately return them to the National Archives? What a lie that is. Mike Pompeo knows that's a lie. He spent his entire life in Washington. Washington is a city where internal memos about Labor Day are classified because everything is classified.
Well, I mean, there's a couple of issues there. I mean, the last about everything being classified, even the perfectly quotidian and having nothing to do with the nation's security, that's true. And this indictment of Trump has prompted a discussion about the overclassification of documents in D.C. And who's really being protected or prevented from seeing the details of what transpires in that town. So that's a whole nother topic area. But in terms of the characterization of Pompeo and others as being bootlickers for the purpose of trying to derail Trump's sort of non-interventionist American first policy disposition, that's the argument. It's the larger argument. So you have the war party in D.C., and these were the assets that the war party unleashed on the Trump administration through flattery, insinuating themselves into positions like U.S. Ambassador to the UN, Nikki Haley, CIA Director, Secretary of State Pompeo, Lindsey Graham, who is, oily to say the least, but on a range of topics, not just with respect to his penchant for war. But I mean, do you buy that? Do you buy that that's what's really going on here? And again, his, meaning Trump's, stubbornness with respect to the military-industrial complex is what has him in the federal government's crosshairs at present. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. Jimmy in Lombard, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, good morning, Dan and Amy. How you guys doing?
Morning.
Good.
I might have to agree with Tucker, man. You look at how all them Republicans glommed on with the COVID, and they're after the man.
All right, thanks for the call, Jimmy. Robert, Bloomingdale.
Good morning. I don't agree with everything he says, but he's right on the right track. Look who they gave the Nobel Peace Prize to. The guy that destroyed Libya. You have to dig in deeper to look what Obama did in Syria. Okay, he started that war. Look at the CIA. Trump, I don't know if Trump is against interventionalism, but he definitely didn't follow their lead going into foreign policy, which was poking people in the eye. That's what Obama's doing.
All right, thanks for the call, Robert. Yeah, that sort of presumes, the Tucker argument sort of presumes that they're trying to take him out rather than see him as the Republican Party's nominee for president. Or maybe, I get, since he's not explicit on the topic, maybe Tucker's belief is, no, they want him to be the nominee for president, they want to defeat him, and then they want to imprison him. That's possible. But the war party, so all of these neocon Republicans are conspiring with the Biden administration for the purpose of elevating Trump to then imprison him. And it's all predicated on America having an interventionist foreign policy so everybody in D.C. gets paid. That's essentially the theory. I'm not there. I mean, I agree with what Tucker said here, but not for the reason he said it.
So Joe Biden is doing what no president has ever dared to do. He's using law enforcement to lock up his chief rival. That's happening right now. Anyone who denies it's happening is lying to you. But actually, it's worse than that. Trump's prosecution isn't just political, it's ideological. Nobody with Trump's views is allowed to have power in this country. Criticize our wars and you're disqualified. If you keep it up, we'll send you to prison. That's the message Washington is sending.
Yeah, I think it's bigger than that. That's where, I mean, I agree that it's not just political, it's ideological, but I don't think it's singular. Disagree with our wars and we'll send you to prison. I don't see that being the glue that holds this alleged coalition together to the ends that we're seeing play out at present. But take your calls on it. Benjamin LaGrange, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, how's it going? So I was just talking to my cousins who, they serve in the Navy, and they had, some commentary about the warmongers in D.C. So I do think Tucker makes a salient point. You have to think about it like this. Trump brought troops home. The Bush family, which was, your classic Republicans, they started wars. The Democrats, you look at what, they started wars in terms of the Balkans with the Clintons. We all know that story. So I do think that there is a military coalition in the deep state between Republicans and Democrats, and Trump goes against that, and both sides of that don't want him coming to power. So I do think Tucker Carlson makes a salient point there.
Thanks for the call, Benjamin. Yeah, I think that there is some truth to what he's saying. I just don't think that explains everything that's happening. Frank in Arlington Heights.
Hey, good morning. Yeah, I think in general terms he's over the target. I mean, we've had a war party in D.C. going back to the Spanish-American War. We really have. I mean, look at World War I. Why did we get involved in there? Was it just the Zimmerman note? Or was it the fact that our banks had lent a lot of money to Britain and to France, and we needed to collect on that? World War II, prior to World War II, you had 70 to 80% of the American people were against any sort of intervention. And, John Toland with his book Infamy on World War II, how much did our military know about that? We had agents over there helping Mao. I read a good biography on Mao a couple of years ago. I mean, Vietnam, it's constant war. Korea, the war party, they get $1 trillion now a year is what we spend on the war. Spend all this money over there in Ukraine, who knows where it all goes? Gulf War, Afghanistan. I mean, how many peace presidents have there been? Trump, Reagan to a certain extent, Kennedy, although we really don't completely know,
right?
And then Harding. Harding, look how he's been maligned. He in terms of economics, Harding was a good president. He was really good. He got the economy going with his policies pretty quickly, right after 1920, 21.
Sorry, are you gonna tell me Teapot Dome was the originated with the war party? That was the conspiracy to take out Harding?
Well, Harding was never able to defend himself. He had his heart attack or stroke or whatever he had over there up in San Francisco. So and they just excoriated him and maligned him for forever. I mean, I'm not saying he was not very good in terms of managing some of the people around him. Neither was Grant.
Neither was Trump. Yeah.
Neither was Trump. Yeah, exactly. But I think there's more to it. I mean, was Pompeo involved in this? I don't know, but
yeah,
I think there's a lot more to this war party stuff than DC and the mainstream press will let on, no doubt.
Thanks for the call, Frank. I think he's a little over the top on Pompeo as well. Tucker is.
What do you mean about his?
I mean, just that
fawning all over Trump.
Well, he was probably doing this, taking some literary license, but really, Pompeo was greeting Trump every day with, "Boy, you're so handsome and virile." I think he's providing a caricature of Pompeo that's belied by some of the good work Pompeo did at CIA and as Secretary of State. And
you look good in that suit, boss.
Yeah, I think Pompeo's a little bit more substantive than Tucker Carlson is giving him credit for. But I will, he closed his commentary with a good riff about essentially the caste system in this country now, which speaks to the different systems of justice for different groups of people and the basis of those different systems of justice. And the voter, essentially, what about the voters in all of this? We were talking about the war party and versus Trump and all this palace intrigue in D.C. Do the voters have to get a say? What do the electeds, do the voters get to have a say? What about the voters versus the electeds? Has any Anybody in elective office seen America lately? Tucker asks.
But what about voters? What are they learning from this spectacle? Well, mostly they're learning that they have no power at all because nobody cares about them. But they already knew that. Unlike so many of our elected leaders, they have been to America recently. They know what it looks like. Have you seen it? If you've got a few days this summer, find out. Take a road trip and see for yourself.
You've seen America.
Drive 500 miles in any direction and then come home. How are things looking? Well, they should look great. The federal government spent $6.5 trillion last year. That's more than any government has ever spent, ever. So at the very least, you would expect pristine public roads. Oh, no. That's not what you see when you drive around this country. There are potholes and Jersey barriers everywhere. Looks like Tegucigalpa before the Chinese decided to rebuild the infrastructure of Honduras.
Oh, my God.
We don't have China buying our roads. So they're falling apart. You'd think the people you would pass on your road trip would look happy and prosperous. Again, this is a very rich country. But a lot of them don't. Quite a few appear to be strung out on drugs. You see them shuffling by shuttered storefronts in small towns. And you wonder, as you see all of this, where did all the money go? It's certainly not here. Well, it's in Washington. It's in Fairfax and Loudoun counties, and in leafy, perfectly manicured Northwest D.C. And of course, a huge chunk of it went to Ukraine, to Zelensky and his friends. Not because you voted for that. You didn't vote to give it to them. You never would. But because Joe Biden and his many allies, from Chuck Schumer to Mitch McConnell to Paul Ryan and every single news anchor on all of television, all of them believe that Ukraine, its borders, its future, its infrastructure are all more important than the town that you live in. They sincerely think that, and it's obvious. Everyone in power thinks that, except for Donald Trump. Whatever else you say about him, Trump is the one guy with an actual shot at becoming president who dissents from Washington's long-standing pointless war agenda. And for that one fact, they're trying to take Trump out before you can vote for him.
Well, I mean, $100 billion is a lot of money, but it's not a substantial portion of the $6.5 trillion that he just referenced, talking about Ukraine as a percentage of the overall spend. Where did all the money go? So it's a little bit hyperbolic on that score. I don't think Trump is the only guy who is willing to be a disruptor in D.C. I would put DeSantis in that camp as well. But I mean, I take, Trump, Tucker is sort of mimicking Trump. I think directionally he is right about a few things. But the details matter too. Anyway, it was a good riff, a good commentary, provocative, which we don't get a lot from anybody with a huge audience in this country anymore. So at least it makes you think and it prompts discussion. So I appreciate the calls in furtherance of that discussion.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 6:36, Governor Jelly Belly does a softball interview on ABC National about his quote-unquote anti-book ban legislation. 6:36.
Yeah, and if you don't comply, you don't get state funding. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
6:32, 59 degrees. Former President Trump speaking out against his federal indictment and charges with supporters on Tuesday night. Fox's Jonathan Seri with more on the president following incidents and reaction in Miami.
Former President Trump struck a defiant tone, accusing the Biden administration of orchestrating the indictment against him to interfere with the upcoming 2024 presidential election. Mr. Trump delivered his speech at his golf club in Bedminster, New Jersey. This came just hours after the former president pleaded not guilty in a Miami federal court to 37 counts related to the alleged mishandling of classified White House documents that he brought with him to his Mar-a-Lago estate in Florida after leaving office.
Fox's Jonathan Seri, President Biden has reportedly told Democrat National Committee operatives and his election team to remain silent on the Trump indictment. An 18-year-old Army trainee is accused of shooting 3 fellow soldiers on a Japanese military base, killing 2. Ukrainian officials say Russian forces fired cruise missiles at the southern city of Odessa overnight, and shelling has destroyed homes in the eastern Donetsk region. 6 were killed. 59 have died after a fishing boat carrying dozens of illegal migrants capsized and sank off the southern coast of Greece. A jury has awarded $25 million to a former Starbucks regional manager after finding she was fired over the color of her skin. Shannon Phillips, who is white, oversaw more than 100 Starbucks locations in Philadelphia, New Jersey, and Delaware when she was fired in 2018. Phillips says she worked hard to shore up the company's image after a racial incident in Philadelphia, but Starbucks turned around and punished her and other white employees who weren't even involved. Republican lawmakers have suspended a vote on funding for University of Wisconsin campuses just hours after a top GOP leader promised to slash the college's system budget as part of an ongoing fight over diversity and inclusion initiatives. Some illegal migrants are calling Daly College in Chicago home for the time being. They were moved from a shuttered YMCA on the north side. City officials say families with kids needed to be relocated to free up space at the former High Ridge YMCA to leave that for single men exclusively. 3 children and 2 adults are hurt after a school bus crash on the Dan Ryan near Guaranteed Rate Field last night. A Lake Barrington man with a revoked FOID card is facing charges after accidentally shooting himself while dreaming. Authorities say deputies were called out April 10 to a home and located Mark DeCara with a gunshot wound to the leg. DeCara, according to investigators, had a dream about someone breaking into his home, so he retrieved his revolver and shot at who he believed was the intruder. Instead, he shot himself and woke up. DeCara was hospitalized and now faces multiple charges. The U.S. Department of Defense has announced they found the remains of a Central Illinois soldier who was 22 when he was killed in World War II. Air Force Technical Sergeant Lawrence Reitz of Hoopston was among those fighting in Romania in 1943 in one of the largest bombing missions of World War II, all against the refineries just north of Bucharest. Reitz's plane was shot down during the raid. The remains were positively identified following a renewed ID effort that began in 2017. The news service of Salem Surround. Go to surroundchicago.com today. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Charlie Kirk explains what we've become.
79 years ago, 77,000 U.S. troops participated in what is now known as D-Day. So what gets considered to be brave today? Basically the exact opposite. Today we have California State Senator Scott Wiener celebrating drag queens as this is the symbol of bravery. Those are the new heroes.
The Charlie Kirk Show. Afternoons at 1, right before Sebastian Gorka at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
Don't defund the police. Hire the police to protect your business. Rising crime has been crippling business owners in Illinois more and more in the past year. Blue Star Security can protect your most valuable asset, your business, to protect both you and your customers. Blue Star Security is the only security company in Chicago with over 500 off-duty police officers, all W-2 employees.
I'm Anthony Barchetto, president of Blue Star Security and a 20-year law enforcement veteran. Our team is exclusively state-certified active and retired law enforcement professionals who provide the highest standards in security. We serve Fortune 500 companies as well as small businesses and individuals, responding rapidly and seamlessly to each assignment. Blue Star Security's technology allows mobilization of off-duty officers quickly and efficiently. Our primary mission is to provide unparalleled protective services for each assignment with integrity while maintaining our commitment to community service in the Chicagoland area.
Visit online to schedule a free security consultation at bluestarsecurityltd.com. That's bluestarsecurityltd.com.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors in Roselle. Summer is here, which is the ideal time to brighten things up around the house and let the sunshine in. Make the rooms in your house that appear small, dark, or dingy look better and bigger with larger windows or patio doors. Our highly skilled craftsmen can enlarge openings if your space allows. For decades, Woodland has been transforming living spaces with Marvin windows, featuring styles ranging from modern to traditional. Marvin replacement windows and doors can also bring your backyard right into your living space. Ask us about connecting the inside to the outside. When you welcome a Woodland sales expert into your home, you'll get a product expert, a design consultant, a budget hawk, and someone who has your best interest in mind. Our professional services, along with the best products and installation, are why we are proud of our great online reviews. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
Wesley is a truck driver.
I drive a truck, and I love what I do.
A truck driver with IRS troubles.
They told me I owed them $43,000.
It got really bad.
Quite a few letters in the mail. They were talking about wage garnishment, coming after my house, my car. Yeah, they don't play around. I seriously thought that I was going to lose everything.
One sleepless night, Wesley finally made a call to Optima Tax Relief at 2 a.m.
Kind of figured I'd get a machine, but I didn't. I actually got to talk to an actual person in the middle of the night.
He found just what he was looking for.
Oh, they were great people. You need a team of people that know what they're doing. Optima Tax, they know what they're doing.
Optima Tax Relief came through with flying colors.
I saved an incredible amount of money. Happy don't even come close. I was absolutely overjoyed.
Take Wesley's advice.
If you're in any kind of trouble with the IRS, call Optima Tax Relief. Don't trust anybody else.
Call Optima for a free consultation. Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
6:40. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. It's an update this morning of Irish Spring. The fresh scent of Irish Spring and those sensational Irish Spring suds are just the reset you need to own the day. You're ready. Pick up Irish Spring at your local retailer today. Inbound Edens at 31 Lake Cook Road to the junction. The Kennedy right now spiraling towards an hour from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Inbound Dan Ryan at 21 minutes, 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. And delays on 8094, especially westbound now, Grant to Klein. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. A warmer day, clouds and sun, and a high of 76. Currently 59. Next news at 7. And Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Our governor's blowing up. Governor Jellybelly on ABC National
He's
yesterday.
Big call.
Uh-huh.
Too bad I was on a day where a former president was indicted, so no one was watching, but we watched. So you didn't have to.
Pritzker was treated to a softball interview. Of course. He's a socialist. At least he's playing the role of one for the purposes of political advancement. He softball interview about his anti-book ban legislation, so they call it.
The first state in the country to do it.
Of course, it's the opposite. Here's how he described the legislation that he signed into law the other day.
Well, as you know, there have been many attempts over the last year to take books off the shelves across the country, and they're mostly focused on marginalized communities. These are books that are about racism or about Black history. They're books about the LGBTQ community. And the effort is not really to protect children, like they say. The effort is to marginalize people, to make them feel unwanted and unaccepted in their communities. And so we wanted to fight back and make sure that no one is left out and that their histories are on the shelves.
Sounds wonderful.
No one's doing that. You want to be gay, but just don't shove this stuff down our kids' throats and have an access to it for them at the library.
Well,
Because they prominently they had a press conference yesterday with LEG was there, because Secretary of State's office is in charge of the libraries. And like if you ban any of these books, and they had the big books blown up the covers, if you ban any of them, funding's going to go away immediately. If we find out about it, you're toast.
And so he went on to explain how this law is in furtherance of freedom.
Oh, okay.
Jelly Belly is nothing if not pro-freedom and pro-parent. He's a parents' rights guy,
Well, that's exactly what this bill does. This new law allows parents to make the decision about whether their children will be able to get that book and make the decision about whether they don't want to present that to their kids. So this isn't about taking things away. I believe in freedom. I believe in the freedom to read and to understand and learn. And that's what libraries and librarians do. We should let librarians do the work that they have always done. They get to choose what books get put on the shelves, but they also are prohibited from, taking books off the shelves for political reasons or because there's somebody who personally disapproves.
Let teachers teach, administrators administrate, and librarians library, right?
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You can also reach us all morning long on our text line, 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment. He's all about freedoms, is he?
Pro-freedom.
Yeah, when he wants to be. Because don't forget, he locked us down for 2.5 years.
He's pro-freedom, and he's pro-parents' rights. Those are his calling cards. Is that your understanding of the governor?
He wears so many different hats.
What if parents don't want their kids to be exposed to particular books that the librarian or the teacher have selected?
As Peyton and Eli say, well, then, Mom, if they don't like the book, then don't get the book. Don't check it out at the library. And I said, no, but the fact that it's even there should bother you.
Well, communities hire the librarians in their libraries. They're experts at this. And all we're really saying is that the libraries need to adopt a standard. There has to be some kind of a standard that they're living by. And that Bill of Rights that the American Library Association has put forward is one that simply says that you can't take a book off the shelf simply for personal disapproval. Remember, there's some other family that might think that that book is just fine.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. American Library Association Bill of Rights. You got to let the librarians library. They're the experts. You just heard him. And so, if you want to take genderqueer off the shelf or out of your kid's classroom, you have to remember, just that for example, there are many parents who find genderqueer edifying, facilitating their child's intellectual development, and, of course, moral coda. Yeah. Here's a selection from Genderqueer as offered from Nelda Munoz up in Barrington 220.
Because it was on the summer reading list,
Yeah,
in case you didn't know.
Leafy, Barrington, all of those highly educated, very successful families. Yeah, Barrington 220. Nelda Munoz, parent there. And she wasn't so excited about genderqueer. But again, she's not a librarian, so she's not an expert. You decide.
June 3rd, my child's 6th grade English teacher sends out a summer reading material, including gender queer. Okay? Hopefully everybody can see this, yeah? 11, 12 years old. Hopefully you like this, yeah? You guys over there, because you guys make the decisions over there. Okay, 11-year-old. Disgusting. All right? Now, from this book, Brother Talking to Sister, So you never tasted yourself? Sister shows brother. Vagina slime. Then there's words blowjob, gay. This is exactly what I would expect a pedophile to behave when approaching a child, to normalize sexual behavior, to abuse them. And this is how I see you. Stop sexualizing our kids. Stop abusing them.
Well, I mean, you know, some parents may support sexualizing children, you know, providing the minor attracted person's perspective. Again, a parent is not an expert unless you're a certified librarian and a member of the American Library Association. I mean, who are you really to be telling librarians or teachers, do you have a degree in education? What goes on in the classroom? Barrington 220 is a special case, too. By the way, these board members up there got reelected in the spring, including Dr. Barry Altshuler.
Well, we got one of ours on.
Yeah, well, these guys got reelected.
Right.
Sandra Frick Bradford and Dr. Barry Altshuler. Dr. Barry's a pediatrician. And he said a book that was making the rounds in Barrington 220 called Flamer, which has passages just as explicit as what you just heard from Genderqueer, which has gotten a lot more play and a lot more readings before school boards by parents. Oh, it's disgusting. Hey, wait, there are kids here.
Stop talking.
At the school board meeting, there are kids here. Are there kids in the library? Are there kids in the classroom? Oh, no, they're kids at the school board. This is making us uncomfortable. Well, here's what Dr. Barry, the pediatrician up in Barrington,
listen up, folks. Listen.
Said about Flamer, which is one of these graphic teen novels about, gays coming of age and exploring each other in no uncertain terms. Teenage graphic novel. And graphic, I mean that in both meanings. Graphic meaning there are pictures, and graphic meaning it is profane. Dr. Barry Altshuler, I can't say his name enough, your local pediatrician up there in Barrington.
The first in Flamer, there is a part of this book where a bunch of boys masturbate into a bottle. And they say that whichever boy does not ejaculate has to drink the bottle.
Oh!
Now, can any of you look at this crowd and objectively say that that is not obscene?
I have to talk about Flamer just for a second, okay? I am not Filipino. I am not in the closet. I am not Christian. I was never in the Boy Scouts. And this book spoke to me.
Ugh.
You heard a parent read that passage, and Dr. Barry Altshuler, your local pediatrician, that spoke to him.
Guys in the control booth are like, what the? I mean, that is so graphic and gross and just...
To you.
I mean,
you're not a
out of
librarian.
an abundance of caution, they shouldn't be doing that.
You're not a librarian.
Well, wash your hands.
You don't have a degree in education. Your comments are unwelcome.
Well, fine.
All right?
Thanks, Dan.
I'm not commenting. Obviously, this is well beyond my capacity or scope, area of expertise.
On the summer reading list at Barrington.
We have to defer to the experts, like Dr. Barry and the local librarian, Barrington 220. I just have a question, though, or two. American Library Association, Pritzker is very deferential to them. Do you have any idea what the general political disposition is of the leadership of the American Library Association, of K through 12 government school librarians, generally speaking?
They lean left.
Do you think they would object to putting Abigail Schreier's Irreversible Damage in the library, or as part of reading the reading list for a course? Do you think any of the librarians, certified librarians, have done that?
Have yanked books without telling people?
It's funny, I haven't heard any leftist parents come to school board meetings and read passages from Abigail Schreier's Irreversible Damage, is just for example, and it just tells stories of parents dealing with the trans issue and provide statistics like you've heard on this show, including the recent recent study out of the UK, which is pretty jarring in terms of the percentage of people who identify on this gender identity spectrum who then end up heterosexual within a 6-year period. But anyway, I digress. They haven't, because it's in the library and it's in the classroom, and the leftists are just so much more open-minded because they're not book banners. Oh, really? Really? They're not book banners unless it's J.K. Rowling or Theodore Dreisel or somebody like that. Obviously, that is hate. That has no place among certainly that has no place in a classroom or a library or in civil society, generally speaking. What about Anthony Burgess? I was thinking about this the other day with this whole book ban. Anthony Burgess, he's an accomplished British novelist. You may be familiar with The Clockwork Orange. That's Anthony Burgess. He wrote another dystopian novel called The Wanting Seed. You ever read that? Anybody ever read that?
I didn't.
Mm-hmm. Ever get who would get it assigned, especially now? The state's Ministry of Infertility promotes homosexuality to deal with overpopulation.
Oh.
That's the
premise of the book, or
yeah,
the message.
There's posters that the state Ministry of Infertility uses, like "It's sapiens to be homo." It's a quote from the book. Love your fellow men. Self-sterilization is encouraged.
Oh, that's nice.
Heterosexual men wear makeup and pretend to be homosexual and to increase their social status. One of the conflicts is between two brothers, and they're both heterosexual, but the one pretends to be homosexual to advance his career in the government.
Sam Britton.
Most of the police are gay, and their job is to purge heteros. When a mother's only allowed child dies in the book, she's told, you must try to be sensible, try to be modern. An intelligent woman like you, leave motherhood to the lower orders as nature intended. And it goes on from there. So we're checking out. Maybe somebody could propose their certified librarian included in the library. Anthony Burgess. No? What would Pritzker say about that? As we mentioned before, it's the same thing we went through with the New Trier I Hate White People Day a few years back, where the proposal wasn't to prevent or remove any of the books that the kids were going to go through. It was to add Thomas Sowell, add Shelby Steele, add John McWhorter. And that's what killed the day. But they're not book banners. They're for free and open debate. You know, just like you see on college campuses where they dominate. Free and open debate. When Riley Gaines is physically assaulted in San Francisco. Free and open debate. How many, I mean, the legions of conservative speakers who've been prevented from speaking, disinvited from speaking on a college campus, all dominated by the left. They are the great protectors of freedom of thought and speech. No conservative who's actually a conservative is promoting book banning. And for the umpteenth time, making judgment calls about what is in the library at the K through 12 school or in a classroom is not book banning. Nobody is saying genderqueer should be burned or shouldn't be published. You want to publish that smut? Go ahead and publish it. You want to read it? Go ahead and read it. You're by definition making decisions because not every book can be in the library and not every book can be part of the course curriculum. So you're going to make judgment calls. That's not banning anything. That's the great fallacy of people who are ripped from these dystopian novels like Jelly Belly Pritzker. Gosh, too bad that these great dystopian authors, including the recently passed Cormac McCarthy, are not around to use Pritzker to model a character. Kafka would have loved him.
We had a ton of text messages real quick. Dan and Amy, go check the book out so that it's off the shelf, and they don't charge fines, just keep renewing it.
Well, there's more than one copy.
Yeah, I hate to tell them that.
And that's not the point.
And then do we need an adults only section in the libraries like we did at one point in time at video stores?
Well, the point is to expose them and expose the lies they're telling about both their position and the position of sensible, small c conservative people. And the damage they're attempting to inflict on your children. Oh, by the way, which is what has parents properly riled up that are attending these school board meetings and calling out these ghastly school board members. And we'll have to pick this up more in the top of the 8 o'clock hour because there's more to say for sure.
But now let's head straight into that newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
Migrants move from a local YMCA to Daly College on the southwest side. 3 children, 2 adults hurt after a school bus crash on the Dan Ryan. WINT Chicago News Time is 7 o'clock.
A not guilty plea not stopping former President Trump. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
I did everything right and they indicted me.
He held a fundraiser in New Jersey after being arraigned in federal court in Miami on 37 criminal charges related to his handling of classified documents, including obstruction of justice.
Threatening me with 400 years in prison for possessing my own presidential papers.
Now, the 2024 Republican frontrunner claims President Biden's trying to take out his biggest rival. The president's staying quiet, and so are many Democrats.
So as not to cause any perception that the president is trying to meddle with the legal process, but First Lady Jill Biden appeared to briefly deviate from this during a small fundraiser on the Upper East Side of Manhattan. She said that she was surprised how many Republicans continue to support Mr. Trump despite the indictment.
Fox's Jonathan Seri in Miami as Republicans investigate President Biden. Senator Ted Cruz pressed FBI Director Deputy Paul Abate at a hearing about a document containing an allegation that President Biden may have been involved in bribery when he was vice president, and there could be voice recordings.
This is an area that I'm not going to get into with you, Senator.
Well, I understand you don't want to, and that's why people are mad at the FBI, because you're stonewalling and covering up.
The White House press secretary used a Biden term, calling this allegation malarkey. An Army trainee in Japan's under arrest, accused of shooting 3 fellow soldiers at an Army base there. 2 died. At least 6 more civilians are dead in Ukraine in Russian missile strikes today. The U.S. has given Ukraine another $325 million in military aid today. Defense Secretary Austin's in Germany meeting with U.S. troops helping train Ukrainians. What happens in Vegas makes history. That's the celebration after the Golden Knights won the Stanley Cup. Vegas' first NHL championship. They beat the Florida Panthers 9-3 in Game 5 of the final. America's listening to
59 degrees. Skies for the most part are cloudy at 7:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Some migrants are calling Daly College in Chicago home for the time being. They were moved from a shuttered YMCA on the north side to the southwest side yesterday to free up space at that former High Ridge YMCA for single men exclusively. A person in critical condition after falling onto the CTA tracks Tuesday evening. According to Chicago Fire, a person was hit by a train around 7:30. That injured person was taken to the University of Chicago Medical Center in critical condition. Chicago boosting funding for the vast majority of its public schools next fall. Overall, the school system spending remains steady at about $9.4 billion. However, 25 schools are facing cuts of at least $75,000. Riot Fest is expected to take over Chicago's Douglas Park in September, and while the event is expected to be a huge draw, many in the neighborhood don't want it to happen there anymore. Riot Fest has been held at the park for the last 8 years. Today, the Park District will vote on a provisional permit for the festival. Authorities are investigating after a woman detainee was found unresponsive in a cell in the DuPage County Jail. 50-year-old Renata Hurtado was found yesterday morning by a sheriff's deputy. There are no signs of physical trauma, and autopsy results are pending. Chicago sports. Cubs rattle off 14 hits and an 11-3 win over the Pirates at Wrigley Field, while the White Sox put themselves behind the 8 ball early in a 5-1 loss to the Dodgers at Dodger Stadium. The news, a service of Tom Mirabali Insurance, independent Blue Cross and Blue Shield agent with access to many major medical carriers. Let Tom help you today. Save money on your premium and get started at healthplanchicago.com. A check of traffic and weather is on the way next on AM 560.
Dr. Sebastian Gorka says we are under attack.
Does that America still exist today? I believe it does. I believe outside of the metropolis, outside of the bi-coastal elite, it does exist. But it is endangered. It is threatened primarily by the internal threat, is perhaps the preeminent one today.
America First with Dr. Sebastian Gorka. Afternoons at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Hi, this is Steve. I'm in Italy, away from my business. But I'm not worried about the office or my absence from it. I'm confident because I've got Turnkey on my side. They've helped me solve several problems for my business, so I can finally relax for a bit while I let the business work. Not only did Turnkey help with my IT problems, their expert team gave me a custom consultation that found additional profit centers in my company. They've helped me focus on a new direction for my business. It's not easy to relax when you own a business, but with our partnership with Turnkey, I feel confident, resolved, and ready to deliver. Now, I'm going to relax, have a Peroni, and depend on the direction Turnkey has helped me embrace. They can help your business too. Visit turnkey.pro to start a conversation today. That's turnkey.pro.
The pros at Turnkey share your values. They know IT and they know small business. They're Chicagoland's small business champions. Visit turnkey.pro to book your appointment today. That's turnkey.pro.
What happens when America's debt bubble finally bursts? The dollar's value would be destroyed along with the value of your 401k or IRA. And this would be a total catastrophe for the nation. Hi, I'm Dr. Ron Paul, and the debt bubble is just one more reason why I recommend diversifying your retirement accounts into physical gold. Gold can preserve your savings through almost anything. And if you take advantage of a gold IRA from Birch Gold Group, you pay 0 penalties or taxes when you transfer your current retirement funds. To learn more, text the word PROTECT to 989898, and my friends at Birch Gold Group will send you a free info kit on gold IRAs. Birch Gold is the only gold IRA company I trust, so text PROTECT to 989898 to request your free kit on gold IRAs right now.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
I'm a physical therapist in private practice, but I will tell you, I've got my brother who's a detective, and he also trains canine. He's hooked on it now. We go to the gym all the time. We're very active. Once you get started, you are going to notice a tremendous difference in your energy level, your diet. You're going to want to eat better. It's incredible, and I love it. Love it, love it, love it.
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first preferred order. That's 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
.707. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Inbound on the Edens. Right now, 30 minutes. Lake Cook Road to the junction. It's an hour from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Especially heavy Montrose to Belmont. Kennedy outbound 37 back out to the big airport. Ike in 33 from Manheim into the old post office. Stevenson 36 from 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive with a disabled vehicle on the right-hand shoulder. That vehicle right now is sitting inbound right near Cicero. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with our meteorologist, Steve Williams.
Today, times of clouds and sun. Our high today, 76. It'll be clear tonight, low 62. Sun and clouds, a thunder shower in spots tomorrow afternoon. High tomorrow at 79. Mostly sunny, nice day on Friday. High 75. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
59 at O'Hare, 60 along the lakefront. Your next news update, 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560 The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Last night, in his remarks at his golf club in Bedminster, New Jersey, former President Trump, of course, offered political commentary and rallied the faithful, but he also started to advance a legal argument that one can only assume is foreshadowing of what his attorneys will present in court, at least in part. And the legal argument he made is essentially that the Presidential Records Act is controlling on this matter, and not the Espionage Act, and that he had every right to take the documents that he took and keep them. And Michael Bekesha agrees with him. Bekesha is an attorney for Judicial Watch, writing in the Wall Street Journal about his experience on topic. He was the lawyer in the case that was cited by Trump, the Bill Clinton sock drawer case. He was the lawyer arguing for the release of those Clinton tapes, that Bill Clinton did not have the right to keep those tapes, which included calls with legislators as well as senior level staff like Secretary of State Warren Christopher at the time, about matters that were geopolitical. One was about the NAFTA agreement. Another, the conversation with Warren Christopher about a diplomatic impasse in the Balkans. Another on foreign policy decisions such as military involvement in Haiti and possibly easing the embargo in Cuba. He wanted the Clinton tapes. And Mr. Bekesha writes that the Presidential Records Act allows the president to decide what records to return and what records to keep at the end of his presidency, and the National Archives and Records Administration can't do anything about it. I know because I'm the lawyer who lost the Clinton sock drawer case, as I said. We sued in federal court and asked the judge to declare the audio tapes to be presidential records and, because they weren't currently in the National Archives' possession, compel the government to get them. The Justice Department at the time argued that National Archives does not have a duty to engage in a never-ending search for potential presidential records that weren't provided to National Archives by the president at the end of his term, nor, the department asserted, does the Presidential Records Act require National Archives to appropriate presidential records forcibly. Doesn't require. It leaves them some wiggle room. The government's position was Congress had decided that the president and the president alone decides what is a presidential record and what isn't. He may take with him whatever records he chooses at the end of his term. That was the interpretation. Judge Amy Berman Jackson in the case agreed, saying, quote, since the president is completely entrusted with the management and even the disposal of presidential records during his time in office, it would be difficult for this court to conclude that Congress intended that he would have less authority to do what he pleases with what he considers to be his personal records. Judge Jackson added that the Presidential Records Act contains no provision obligating or even permitting the National Archivist to assume control over records that the president categorized and filed separately as personal records. Now, therein gets some of the details. Was what was in Trump's possession categorized and filed as personal records? Were they personal records as opposed to records covered by the Espionage Act? Do you have to declassify in order to turn classified records into personal records? Can you even do that? Or is it something where you have to generate the record the way that Clinton did with the audio tapes, even though it was a matter, these were recordings of the people's business? We talked to Andy McCarthy about this specific case on Monday, and he seemed to say that he didn't believe this was a compelling defense, that it was not on point. But it's an argument that is being advanced by Trump with some help from lawyers like Michael Bekesha. So let's get another opinion on this. Pleased to be joined by Professor Richard Epstein, who's the James Parker Hall Distinguished Service Professor Emeritus of Law and Senior Lecturer at the University of Chicago. Professor Epstein, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Well, I would like to say it's my pleasure, but under these circumstances, I'm not so sure.
Well, yeah. Well, what about this matter of the Presidential Records Act versus the Espionage Act? Are they at odds? Does the latter preempt the former?
Look, I'm going to start, first of all, with a very simple observation. Judge Jackson, she's an able judge, but she's a lower court judge. It's not a binding precedent on anybody in another district, and certainly on an appeal, it's just something to be taken into account. So there's nothing which says that the opinion is necessarily right, although it would be remiss from not to rely on it since it is authority on the book. I read that column just about 10 minutes before I got on this show, and my great temptation was to try to go back and read it to parse. But I'll give you that kind of following off-the-cuff reaction, which is going to be subject to a lot of qualifications going on. There's something vaguely odd about this. We put together this whole act about national records. I believe it was in the aftermath of the situation in Watergate when Nixon tried to do the same thing. And so she says, in effect, that the act is only binding on the president if the president chooses to bind himself. And then she further says that if you take these particular documents and put them into your own possession, no matter what their content, there is nothing that the government can do other than to ask you to return them and to give up if you decide that it's not. Well, this makes the statute rather toothless, don't you think? I mean, we clearly had an abuse of presidential power back in the 70s that we were trying to correct. And then you see somebody saying, well, there's nothing we could do about this at all. So that's the first point about what's going on. It strikes me as being, as having the wrong resonance.
Well, but let me just ask a question about that.
Sure.
That may be the case. That may be the case. That's right. It's an odd interpretation, and that it doesn't provide much enforcement power for the federal government with respect to records. Yeah. But this was right. As you say, Presidential Records Act was enacted after Watergate in a response in part to Watergate. And if Congress intended it to be a civil matter with limited enforcement power other than persuasion, well, that's what they intended.
If they intended that. So what I said is the reason I wanted to go back to the statute was to give myself an independent read. But now let me make a second argument. What happens is the strength of this Records Act is that most of the president can keep the documents. But in the Clinton case, we have to ask whether or not he released or paraded them around to anybody else, whether he put them in circumstances where they could be compromised. And I think in that case, the only issue was, can you keep them or can you not? I don't think there's anything remotely analogous to the allegation that he took some secret war plans and waved them or showed them, we don't know which, to somebody sitting there in Mar-a-Lago. And so the question is, if you look at all of the behavior that is charged against Trump, the hard issue, and I can't give an opinion on it, but you got to ask it, is the opinion of Jack, is her opinion going to be able to govern every act that was charged in this particular indictment? And the answer to that question, I think, is still very much in there. I am a law professor. I'm supposed to know the answers, but at this point, I'm not even sure I know I'm not even sure that I know the question. We've never been here before. We've never had a president who's so bizarre and self-destructive. There was not a single commentary that I read amongst the serious kind of Eastern press and even the Midwestern press, which sort of said, this man is exemplary. He did such wonderful things on January 6th. He took great care of these documents. He's been scrupulous. The arguments against him is that he's guilty not only of this, but everything that happened from the time he ran for the presidency in 2015. I don't like those kinds of arguments against him. The other part of this thing, which is very disconcerting, is the way in which the comparisons to Hillary Clinton and to Joe Biden and to Hunter Biden are made. Those guys have all gotten the benefit. Bret Stephens, who hates Trump, all right? He says the alleged kinds of misconduct by Hillary Clinton. There was nothing alleged about this. It was clearly established she used an illegal service, and that Comey let her off because of bizarre reading of what's the mens rea, that if the mental state requirement is, all you need to do this as a crime is to prove that she had those things in her possession and put them on an unauthorized server. You don't have to prove that she thought it was unlawful. And that was the kind of talk that he started to get. So you bring that forward to this case, well, Trump has really asserted this under the NARA Act. Well, he basically thought it was lawful. We shouldn't publish it at all. Then there's the fact, well, we really have to run an investigation of Biden in Delaware. Now, the president's kept his hands out of this. We have no idea whether or not he wants his son to be indicted. I say that tongue-in-cheek. And that investigation started before and will never end because they've removed some of the key operatives on the case at the order of the FBI and so forth. And so what's going to happen is when this thing gets into the public domain, as it surely will, it's not going to be just about the technical issues of narrative, which are very sound issues, I might add, to raise them. It's also going to be the question about equal justice under law, because there are two elements here that one has to remember. Everybody says nobody's above the law. That's fine. And then it turns out selective prosecution is also a very bad thing. And so what we do is we have the argument that this is selective prosecution against Trump because everybody else is getting off or has gotten off easily, that the entire Democratic administration that had hounded him when he was president and afterwards really made such bogus charges that we can't go after him now. It's just a continuation of a vendetta, while their people sit fat, rich, and happy. This is, to me, the most corrosive public debate that you can have, because the necessary effect of it is it takes our two front runners, neither of whom should be president under any circumstances, and what you do is you see each of them defaming the other, meaning that no matter who wins the election, he's going to be severely compromised when he gets into office. So this is an absolute national tragedy of the first order. What Trump ought to do is to simply pull out of the election. I have a great deal of hope that I can persuade him of that. And what Biden should do is announce that he's not going to run for re-election.
Right.
Well, neither of those things is going to come to pass, it would appear.
So, Richard Epstein, I wanted to ask you about espionage, because the crime of espionage, you have to prove that harm was done. Was there any harm done to the country or to any said people by what he did?
I love what, you asked exactly the right question. Is the definition of harm a proof that some of the information that you obtained was passed on to somebody else and we know who got it? Or is it a harm to say that there's a substantial risk that things could have happened given the way the situation was organized? And I think it's got to be for the definition of harm under this. You have to take a somewhat broader definition. But then that gets you back to the same problem that we started to talk about at all. Do we know who stole anything from Hillary Clinton's homemade server? The answer is we do not. But if you have 30,000 emails on a machine which is rickety and utterly unsecured, the presumption is going to be that somebody got something somehow. And if that's the case, is that presumption enough to satisfy harm if you have a prosecutor with the same kind of diligence that Jack Smith brings to this case? I think the answer to that question is yes. Now, you start going into the stuff that's in Mar-a-Lago. This is not online. There were not 30,000 emails that were deleted in the pursuit of this particular case. There's no evidence that anybody broke into the rule. And then to just put it further, for playing the espionage game, Joe Biden kept a bunch of stuff in the garage. He said, well, I returned it when was asked. That is correct. And it's a difference, but it's not necessarily an on and off switch. The proper answer would be, well, you took this stuff, you're in violation of the espionage, you gave it back. So what we're going to do is when we determine sentencing, we're going to give you a mitigation factor that we've denied to the president.
Exactly.
And the way in which Yeah, well,
But we have to send out an FBI team to find the special counsel on the Biden classified docs case because nobody's seen or heard from Robert Hur since he was appointed.
yeah, I mean, what it is Biden. If this is if it's an offense by Trump to do what he did, it's an offense by Biden to do what he did, and then in the sentencing, you take the fact that one cooperated and the other did not. That's a much more sensible reading of the statute than to say that when you return stuff which you should have never taken in the first place, depending on how you read NARA and so forth, that's a complete defense of what's going on. Now, Pence may have a stronger defense on this because he may not have known what was in the particular boxes in this particular case, and it would be a question of mental state as to whether or not Biden knew what was in those boxes. But the presumption, I think, is going to be in both of those cases, maybe of different strength depending upon the factual pattern, that they knew something that was there. And so then that gives you the question of what counts as knowledge, Amy? And this is a lawyer's question. Is it constructive knowledge? And you say, what do you mean by that phrase, Professor Epstein? Well, constructive is a word that lawyers use all the time. Constructive possession, constructive notice, constructive this and that. What it means is you have enough information in your hand that if you conducted the simplest of investigation, turn over the rock and see the termites that are lying under it, then you know what the ultimate situation turns out to be. And that can be used, I think, in criminal cases if you can prove that the gap that you have between what you did and what could have happened to you is one that you could easily overcome. And in the Clinton case, I think it's a virtual certainty that somebody spied on her. And I do not expect the people who spied on her to come forward and say, well, we spied on Mrs. Clinton. Because then they're going to put themselves in trouble and they're going to compromise the information that they got. And
Right.
so I think, in effect, all of these cases have shades and nuances amongst them. And the way you have to think about this as a lawyer is if you look at them from 1,000 feet up in the air, they kind of look the same. But the moment you get closer and closer, then subtle differences amongst them appear. But those are not black and white differences. You say this one's off, that one's in the case. They're exactly the opposite.
Right. So yeah, right. But this is what's going to happen. You're going to have lawyers in the public arena and probably in court are muddying the issues of willful and constructive knowledge and gross negligence, and ultimately making, I think, a normative argument, a policy argument about equal justice before the law and the equal application of the law. And that's where Trump's best chances lie, it would seem to me.
I think they lie in the political arena. I think the fact that you prove that somebody else was under-prosecuted is not itself the key for the kingdom. But in the political arena, he's very good at playing the hopeless victim who's been beaten up by everybody else. And to his side, I think that many of these investigations that were made of him were just absolutely unprincipled, and they were done in the worst possible way. And I think that Biden and the Democrats were behind them. So I don't have any sympathy for them. I think there's a Shakespearean phrase which captures my vote. Do you know what it is? A plague on both your houses.
Yeah, okay. How about I'll respond with from measure for measure. Some people by vice do rise, and others by virtue fall. How's that?
Well, I mean, no good deed goes unpunished.
Okay, all right. the cliche contest with Richard Epstein.
We're a massively literary team.
Richard Epstein, James Parker Hall, Distinguished Service Professor, Emeritus of Law, Senior Lecturer, University of Chicago. Professor Epstein, always a pleasure. Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. The IRS just rolled out a new program to help struggling taxpayers more easily resolve their tax problems. It's called the Taxpayer Relief Initiative, and it opens up powerful new options for people looking to get back on the right track with the IRS. And no one knows this program like the professionals at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution company. They've resolved over $1 billion in tax debt for their clients and have the expertise and experience experience to help you. One easy call to Optima can start the process, helping to put an end to your worries of wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other aggressive IRS actions. Make today the beginning of your fresh start with the IRS. Call the experts at Optima Tax Relief now for your free confidential consultation.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
You can shed that fat and be slimmer for the summer and then go topless on the South Lawn.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, that TikTok influencer, trans person, has been banned from any more White House events.
No more covering up, no more wearing cover-ups or T-shirts in the pool. NJ Diet will help you the natural way. There are no shots, no hormones, and no surgery. You lose a contractually guaranteed 20 to 40-plus pounds in only 40 days with NJ Diet. They use your hair, saliva, and blood work along with bioenergetic scans to personalize natural solutions and supplements that get your body into the fat-burning zone so you can finally lose that weight. Then NJ Diet uses DNA info to help you keep it off. Best of all, it's contractually guaranteed. You're fully supervised the entire time to make sure you're burning fat, not just losing water. And you even get Dr. T's personal email and phone number. Dr. T is Dr. Turovitz, the founder of NJ Diet. NJ Diet has locations close by in Skokie and Oak Brook, or is available from home with live online video consultations. Call 855-5-NJ-DIET or schedule a consult today at njdiet.com. That's njdiet.com.
You can't live forever, but your legacy can. For over 185 years, families have trusted Catholic Cemeteries of Chicago with 47 locations throughout Cook and Lake counties to set their legacies in stone. A prepaid cemetery plan locks in today's prices and safeguards against rising inflation. Visit CatholicCemeteryChicago.org or call 708-236-5490 to schedule a free consultation today.
Have you been struggling to find an easy, safe, and secure document scanning solution for Salesforce.com, Microsoft 365, SharePoint, or OnBase by Highland? Your struggle is now over, and it's time to get your documents and operations into the 21st century. With IoT Smart Connected Scanning, it's easy to turn physical paper into digital documents and have them directly uploaded to the cloud with IoT Smart Connected Scanning from IDT. And you don't need a degree in computing or IT to make it happen. Using QR code technology uniquely configured for your specific business, anyone can set the IoT Smart Connected Scanning device up in 5 minutes or less, saving your organization money and valuable time. Remote employees can even capture documents and send them safely and seamlessly. Organize documents efficiently and securely with IoT Smart Connected Scanning from IDT. To see a demo or to order now, go to ready4idt.com. That's ready4idt.com. Use promo code SMART and receive 10% off your order. IDT, putting paper in its place.
Are you considering a unique way to enhance your investment knowledge this year? Then sign up today for the all-inclusive Eagle Financial Publications Cruise. Along with our trusted partner, The Money Show, we're setting sail this December to explore some of the most beautiful and unspoiled destinations in the Caribbean. But this is no ordinary vacation. It's a chance to learn from top Eagle Financial experts like best-selling authors George Gilder, Mark Skousen, and others who will be hosting a series of workshops and seminars throughout the trip. Imagine lounging on the sun deck while discussing investment strategies with like-minded individuals, or enjoying a gourmet dinner at the same table with one of our leading financial authorities. This once-in-a-lifetime cruise is a perfect way to combine education and relaxation to achieve your investment goals. This cruise will sell out quickly, so visit EagleFinancialCruise.com today to learn more and to secure your cabin. That's EagleFinancialCruise.com. Eagle Financial is a division of Salem Media Group. AM 560, The Answer.
I just had a career highlight.
Oh, what? Oh, yeah,
Did you catch it? I out-Shakespeare'd Richard Epstein. I mean, his Plague on Both Our Houses, you know what that's from.
I'll bring you a participation trophy tomorrow.
It's Romeo and Juliet. He couldn't do better than Romeo and Juliet.
Capulet.
Yeah. That was, who said those words? Mercutio, dying words.
Right,
yeah.
before he...
And I read that.
So romantic.
That banal offering from Richard Epstein, and I came over the top with Measure for Measure. That was a nice moment for me.
Oh, yeah. Dan's going to be on cloud nine the rest of the morning. All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Should get an honorary degree from University of Chicago or something. Stephen Moore joins us at 7:37. Hey, the inflation numbers are improving and everything's right with the economy. Yes, we'll find out from Steve Moore at 7:37.
So why is gas inching up to $5 a gallon again? But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
59 degrees at 7:33 on AM 560. The Answer. Former President Donald Trump pleads not guilty to the 37-count indictment against him over his handling of classified documents. House Majority Leader Steve Scalise claims the Americans do not understand that the charges, from his perspective, are politically motivated.
Most people recognize no, there's a different level of treatment because a lot of people have just said they want to just target Donald Trump.
Attorney General Merrick Garland appointed a special counsel to handle the case in order to try and avoid a conflict of interest. Federal prosecutors argue they negotiated with the former president and his legal team to get documents back, but were left, they say, with no choice. Ukrainian officials say Russian forces fired cruise missiles at the southern city of Odessa overnight, and shelling has destroyed homes in the eastern Donetsk region. Testimony resumes today in the capital murder trial of accused Tree of Life synagogue shooter Robert Bowers, charged with the murders of 11 in 2018. Demolition is underway in Davenport, Iowa, on a 6-story apartment building that partially collapsed late last month, killing 3. Some illegal migrants are calling Daly College in Chicago home for the time being. The group was moved from a shuttered YMCA on the north side to the southwest side college yesterday. That move had been delayed by the city over pushback from the local community. A Lake Barrington man with a revoked FOID card is facing charges after accidentally shooting himself, apparently while dreaming. Mark DeCara was sent to the hospital and faces multiple charges. Chicago Department of Public Health is confirming the first West Nile virus-positive mosquito batch this year, but no human cases have been reported. Well, Democrats and Republicans will actually be on the field tonight on the Diamond at Nationals Park for the annual congressional baseball game. Texas Republican Congressman Roger Williams manages the team. He explains how they were able to beat the Democrats last year.
We threw strikes. They didn't hit very well. We fielded. We made no errors. It was a shutout, as you said. So, and we had a good team last year, and we have a better team this year.
You do have a better team this year. Why is that?
Well, we picked up a few more hitters.
Republicans have won the last 2 congressional baseball games and have the most wins all time since the game began in 1909 with 44. Professionally, the Cubs over the Pirates last night 11-3, while the White Sox lost to the Dodgers 5-1. The news, a service of MyPillow. Visit MyPillow.com. Use promo code Liberty because the MyPillow 2.0 is now buy one, get one free with that promo code Liberty. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager says it's time to get informed.
Ignorance is a sin. When bad things are happening, ignorance is willful. If you don't know what Disney is doing to everything associated with children, you have decided to tune out and let others fight.
The Dennis Prager Show. Weekdays at 11, right before Charlie Kirk at 1 on AM 560. The Answer.
Want to remodel your kitchen or bathroom? There's only one name to remember. ForEverRemodeling.com. Not Core Ever Remodeling or Door Ever Remodeling or Explore Ever Remodeling. It's ForEverRemodeling.com. Need an addition or whole home remodeling? Don't call 1, 2, 3 Ever Remodeling. It's Forever Remodeling. Want to finish your basement but don't know where to turn? It won't help to think of Store Ever or Snore Ever or Score Ever Remodeling. You want Forever Remodeling. Forever Remodeling is your go-to for the highest quality kitchen, bathroom, whole home remodeling, room additions, and basement finishing. So don't go to Decor Ever Remodeling or Implore Ever Remodeling or Dinosaur Ever Remodeling. When you're ready for your project to take off, go to 1098765 4everremodeling.com. That's the number 4everremodeling.com. or call us at 847-809-3355.
You've heard Rumpke's Garage commercials on AM 560, and now they specialize in servicing Sprinters and light-duty diesels. But the experts at Rumpke's also service Isuzu and Chevy low-cab forward trucks. So if you own an Isuzu or Chevy low-cab forward truck but aren't sure where to get it repaired, take it to Rumpke's Garage, your #1 dealer alternative for repairs to your Isuzu NPR, Isuzu F-Series, or Chevy low-cab forward truck. Whether gas or diesel, your truck is the lifeline of your business. That's why Rumpke's Garage offers free loaners while your truck is being serviced. They'll even pick up and deliver for your convenience. Rumpke's Garage has the factory scan tool to properly diagnose Isuzu and Chevy low-cab forward trucks. Their commitment to your business is backed with a complimentary maintenance plan and free 2-year warranty. Go to Rumpke'sGarage.com to learn more about their specialization in Isuzu and Chevy low-cab forward trucks and schedule your appointment today. That's Remkes, REMKES, Garage.com.
Are you turning 65 and thinking about Medicare? Or are you over 65 and haven't enrolled yet because you still have coverage at work? Either way, Medicare done correctly will be the best health insurance you will ever have. Imagine having nationwide access with an annual deductible of only $226. There are only two good things about aging, wisdom and Medicare. But to navigate the Medicare maze properly, you need a mentor. Best part, my guidance costs you nothing. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Medicare, then you need a local expert on your side. Your own health insurance mentor. See Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 28-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for more than a decade. Steve, how can listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551. That's 630-674-1551.
There are over 10,000 reasons why steel is not sold at Lowe's or the Home Depot. There are over 10,000 authorized local steel dealers. Find yours at steelusa.com. Lowe's and the Home Depot are trademarks of their respective companies.
740. Quick check of the roads in the Team Hochberg Traffic Center. It is right now an hour 20 inbound Kennedy O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. The Ike at 45, 390 into the old post office. Stevenson inbound, not too bad, 46 from 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. The Dan Ryan, 26 minutes, 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. A warmer day ahead. Clouds and sun, and we'll top out at about 76. 62 right now. Next news coming up at 8, and Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson.
If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. New information from the Bureau of Labor Statistics finds that it wasn't just people moving during the COVID years.
What else?
Well, it's people moving with their businesses.
Oh, yeah. I'll take that with me. Thanks.
While business migration fell during the 2001 and 2007 to 2009 economic downturns, moves accelerated during the COVID lockdowns. Interesting contrast. New York led in net business outmigration, 487, followed by California, Illinois, of course, Maryland, Pennsylvania. And the Wall Street Journal suggests that the figures probably underestimate the business migration that occurred early in the pandemic, since they don't capture larger firms shifting headquarters or workforces to other states. For example, Texas saw a spike in headquarter relocations in 2020 and 2021, more than half of which came from California. And I know it's 487 net businesses out migrating from New York, or 208 from Illinois. 208 of thousands of business, not a big deal. It's just like saying 144,000 people leaving, as we discussed with Ted Dabrowski, the net outmigration in Illinois in 2021. That's not a big deal in a state of 12.5 million people.
Yeah, but it is a big deal if it's Caterpillar, Ken Griffin's company, Citadel. I mean, that's kind of a big deal, don't you think?
Well, it is a big deal, and it's also a big deal because if a state's not growing, it's dying. So the fact that we're dying at a glacial pace doesn't really mitigate the fact that you're going in the wrong direction. Could it get worse? Well, sure, it could get worse, but these numbers aren't good. That's sort of the point, isn't it? And interestingly, where the states moved, with the exception of North Carolina, they're states without income taxes, like Texas and Florida, Tennessee. Also, another interesting study, just to give you some perspective on this, what individual people and business owners are doing in terms of some simple back-of-the-envelope math. Smart Asset estimated that an individual earning $200,000 in Manhattan would save $64,000 in taxes and the cost of living by moving to Miami.
Oh, my gosh. And it's a better spot. I mean, well.
So you save about a third of what you earn by making the move to New York, from New York to Miami, and then you get to be warm, too. Someone making $650,000 would come out ahead by almost $200,000.
Wow.
I mean, again, a little less than a third. Those are big numbers. Higher earners in San Francisco would save about 25% of their income by moving to Miami. They didn't do Illinois, but you can estimate. I mean, just off the top, you're going to save 15%. Illinois to anywhere in Florida. Also, again, just doing some comparisons here as we assess who's where post-COVID. Higher unemployment. California, 4.5% unemployment. Illinois, 4.2%. New York, 4%. The national average is 3.7%. Florida, it's 2.6%. So Illinois has a unemployment rate that's about 60% higher than the state of Florida. Is that interesting to anybody? Jobs, businesses, take-home pay, home value.
Home value.
Does this interest anybody? I don't know in Illinois. Steve Moore joins us now, economist, author of Govzilla. Steve, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, good morning, guys. By the way, I think I have a solution to Illinois' problems. I really do. Dan and Amy, you ready for it?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sitting down, Stephen.
You build a Berlin Wall around the state so that people are not allowed to leave.
That's about it.
Yeah.
That's
that would solve all your problems.
Yeah, but our governor's still in denial. And even though we lost a congressional seat because of the population decline, he always, fidgets with the numbers and say everything's okay here.
But the COVID thing is interesting because, COVID should be a significant part of the conversation this election cycle, shouldn't it?
Well, it should. I mean, look, the blue states like Illinois, like New York, like Connecticut, like California are the ones that completely shut down their economies. I remember talking about this with you guys back in, April of 2020. When is Illinois going to reopen? Because a lot of the red states like Florida and Utah and Tennessee and Texas, for the most part, stayed open. And the lingering memories of this kind of Stalinistic approach where you weren't even, I think they even had curfews in Chicago. It really had a lasting impact. But this has been going on for years and years and years. I think I mentioned this statistic to you guys last week, but for those who weren't listening in, I'll repeat it, that 100 years ago, Chicago had a bigger population than it does now. Can you believe that? I mean, the United States total population has tripled over that period, and Chicago actually has fewer residents than it did in 1900 and in 1950. And that acceleration out of the state has only become a bit of a stampede. And it's sad because, look, I love Chicago. You guys know this. I grew up in Chicago, practically grew up in Wrigley Field. It is a great, great city, but it is just being ruined by progressive policies. And one of the policies that would really help, you mentioned taxes, Dan, and that's obviously a huge problem. But the schools are just god awful in Chicago. I mean, you can't live in Chicago if you have kids, unless you have $1 million and you can send your kids to a fancy private school, because it just doesn't work. And you got a mayor who's just basically saying no school choice for parents.
On the macro stage now, we saw the inflation cool a bit more, and this is in advance of what Jay Powell may or may not do with respect to interest rates. So are we on the path to prosperity? Have we tamed the inflation dragon, and we're going to be growing again, and things are going to be hunky-dory, and market returns are going to continue to buoy people's 401ks, and it's all going to be good?
Well, so inflation was 9% last summer. The latest number that just came out yesterday is 4%. So 4% is still way too high. It's twice as high as it should be. But yes, inflation is coming down. The problem is the economy is just stagnant right now. For the last 6 quarters, so that would be, 20 months or so, you've had 1% growth in the economy, which is crazy. We should be growing at 3 or 4%. I mean, COVID ended 20 months ago. We should have had a boom coming out of it. And what did Biden do? He spent, by my calculations, $5.5 trillion we didn't have. And government doesn't stimulate the economy. It destimulates the economy. And so now you've got this massive problem. Incidentally, Biden had a piece in the Wall Street Journal on Friday crowing about how well he was doing on the economy. And he repeated the lie that he says all the time about how I've reduced, I'm sure you guys have heard him say this, I've reduced the deficit more than any president in American history. I'm the most fiscally conservative president. Do you know what the deficit is, Amy, over the last 12 months, the amount of red ink?
Trillions.
$2.1 trillion. It's the highest amount of debt ever in the United States, except for the COVID year when we basically completely shut down the American economy. I mean, $2.1 trillion, and he's crowing about how he's reducing the deficit. I mean, we passed this debt reduction bill, Dan, but that's truly a Band-Aid on a cancer patient.
Well, here's what Illinoisans are hearing from their duly elected governor. J.B. Pritzker on ABC yesterday on President Biden. He's very flattered that you think he should be president, Steve, but he's backing Biden. Take a listen.
Okay.
Run for president, but President Biden has done a terrific job. Remember, he brought us out of the COVID pandemic. I mean, he made sure that those vaccines got into arms across the country, and that's why we're able to be open and free now. And President Biden is somebody who carries with him an enormous amount of empathy. I think that's something that Americans really admire about him.
Where's your empathy, Steve?
Yeah, I was going to say, I do admire his empathy. I mean, he just cares so much for his fellow man.
He could
Wonderful.
Care less.
I mean, he cares so much, and he
out.
cares so much about his son. He cares a lot about his son.
An addiction problem.
It's a comical answer. I mean, everyone knows that. Remember, it was a week after the election. I've always thought this is very suspicious when you talk about stealing elections. It was a week after the election that Pfizer announced they had the vaccine. That happened because of Operation Warp Speed, one of the few great government programs of all time, when we basically just deregulated and said, we're not going to let the FDA and the CDC get in the way of getting a vaccine out. And that vaccine, I know people are skeptical about vaccines, but the original vaccine probably did save 1 million lives. I don't think anybody's ever thanked Donald Trump for that.
I think a lot of people are skeptical of the vaccine mandate that the vaccine mandates, plural, that Pritzker is touting, and I know you are as well.
Yeah, I'm totally against mandates, but my body, my choice, right? Yeah. But the economy was growing by in the 6 last months of Trump's presidency, by like 11%. We were booming out of this, and Biden actually slowed it down. So we got to get that history right. I think the economy's just in a rut. Slow growth. 70% of Americans today think the economy's headed in the wrong direction, and you know what? I think they're right.
Steve Moore, economist, Govzilla author. Steve, thanks as always. Appreciate it.
Okay, guys, have a great day.
All right, you too. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. Your business and your money are in good hands with Signature Bank. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Dan Migatz, co-owner and CFO of AM Woodland Outdoor Design in Mundelein, and a new customer of Signature Bank. We specialize in the creative design and construction of outdoor living spaces, providing our residential and commercial customers first-in-class landscaping services. Our company was founded as a one-man operation, and today has grown into a multifaceted, one-stop shop for outdoor and indoor design and contracting needs. Signature Bank was there to provide the capital needed to grow our expansion efforts. We wanted to work with a bank that understands our business and is relationship focused. Signature Bank is what a relationship bank is all about. We're excited to continue our partnership for many years to come.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Let Signature Bank turn your business vision into reality. Visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. The weather is heating up, or soon will be, and so are the savings at Wilkins Mazda in Elmhurst. Dan Proft here. If you're looking for a new or pre-owned Mazda, you need to visit Wilkins Mazda in Elmhurst. You'll find the Mazda you want, and the price you see is the price you get. No games, no gimmicks. Right now is a great time to buy a new Mazda with limited time incentives that only come around once a year. You can lease a Mazda 2023 Mazda CX-30 for $286 a month, or a 2023 Mazda CX-5 for $319 a month for 36 months with approved credit through Mazda Capital Services for qualified buyers. Just add license, title, tax, and $324.24 dock fee. Plus, stop in today and ask about the all-new 2024 Mazda CX-90. And to keep your Mazda running great all year round, schedule your next service appointment right there online at WilkinsMazdaCars.com. Wilkins Mazda, conveniently located in Elmhurst off York Road and 290, just minutes from Oak Brook, downtown, and Chicago. Experience the next level of excellence at Wilkins Mazda in Elmhurst. Visit WilkinsMazdaCars.com. See dealer for details.
For an experience at the dentist that's more like going to a spa, meet Dr. Luma at North Shore Dental Group. Preventative and cosmetic dentistry for the entire family.
Dr. Luma was amazing. The office was beautiful, and I've never had an exam that was so thorough. They took x-rays, 3D scans, and checked for bone loss and cancer. The best part is that Dr. Luma could do all of the work that I needed. Deep cleaning, extractions, implants, and cosmetic dentistry. I wouldn't have to make another trip to a specialist. I got an entire printout of all the work that was needed and a plan with all of the costs, how many office visits would be needed, and how much time to block out so I could work it around my busy schedule.
Dr. Luma is accepting new patients now, and for a limited time, new patient exams with full mouth x-rays are only $59.99. Call 847-292-8200 or Google Dr. Luma. That's L-U-M-A. North Shore Dental Group, a lifetime of healthy smiles.
All right, if you have cracks in your foundation, sinking concrete, buckling walls, or windows that are hard to open up, these are signs of structural problems, and they're only going to get worse, so do not ignore them and call our good friends at Permaseal. 800-421-SEAL. You can rely on an honest, accurate, and free evaluation from Permaseal's trained experts. 41 years in the business. A+ with the Better Business Bureau. 4.9 star Google rating. Hello. So for a free inspection and a thorough inspection, call Permaseal 800-421-SEAL. That's 800-421-7325. Or go online and visit permaseal.net.
Everyone knows that crime is on the rise. It's imperative that law enforcement agents have the information they need to keep citizens safe and protect themselves as well. If you are a sworn law enforcement agent certified in the state of Illinois and working for an agency in Illinois, you might be interested in this announcement. Would you like to have an on-the-job decision-making tool at your fingertips? Law enforcement agency data systems information is available to you at an affordable price when you use the Illinois Public Safety Agency Network products, Bullet or Mini Bullet. Your Android or Apple-based handheld mobile device, phone or tablet can receive this data. In addition, your desktop or laptop can also receive this information via the internet. Just call the Illinois Public Safety Agency Network at 773-693-3000 or visit ipsan.org. And pilot Bullet or Mini Bullet. That's 773-693-3000 or visit ipsan.org.
Guys, there's a lot of people talking about testosterone, but do your homework and be sure to go to a provider you can trust.
I've been recommending my friends at Low T Center for 8 years. It's where I get my levels checked. Low T Center exclusively specializes in men's wellness. They check all your levels, not just your testosterone, and determine the cause of any symptoms you're having, and whether you're a candidate for low T or something else like low thyroid or sleep apnea. Typically, their annual health assessment is completely covered by health insurance, and they check everything, including your PSA, which is your prostate levels, and they check thyroid, liver and kidney function, cholesterol, glucose levels, and more. Low T Center has affordable and convenient options for treatment, including monitored self-inject treatment that ships directly to you each month, so there's no need to come to the center each week. Make your health a priority and schedule your annual health assessment at Low T Center today. It's covered by most health insurance or less than $100 cash pay. Visit lowtcenter.com to book your appointment online. That's lowtcenter.com. Tell them Dan Prof sent you. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
It's a big deal because your finances are a really big deal. Wintrust Community Banks would like to announce our newest and greatest 11-month CD rate with a whopping 5.35% APY. Act now and you can lock in 5.35%. Just go to wintrust.com/locknewrates and start earning more. Annual percentage yield accurate as of May 5th, 2023 and assumes funds remain on deposit until maturity. Minimum daily balance of 1 cent required to obtain APY. $1,000 minimum to open. New money only. Offer may change at any time and without notice. Member FDIC.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
White House spokeswoman Karine Jean-Pierre rebukes a reporter for daring to ask whether it's okay for men to play girls' sports. 808.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
A man driving a party bus strikes a woman on a pedicab in Wrigleyville. 3 children, 2 adults hurt after a school bus crash on the Dan Ryan. And health officials confirmed the first batch of West Nile positive mosquitoes. WIND Chicago News Time is 8 o'clock.
We don't know when he's due back in federal court. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
We witnessed the most evil and heinous abuse of power in the history of our country.
Former President Trump, the 2024 Republican frontrunner, held a fundraiser after he pleaded not guilty in Miami to 37 criminal charges for his handling of classified documents, including obstruction of justice.
A corrupt sitting president had his top political opponent arrested on fake and fabricated charges of which he and numerous other presidents would be guilty.
Outside his Bedminster Golf Club, former President Trump said he's the victim of a persecution seen in fascist and communist countries.
That's Fox's Jared Halpern. Secretary of State Antony Blinken's going to China 2 days from now, then London after he had a phone call with China's foreign minister today amid rising tension lately over recent military encounters in Taiwan and the Chinese spy balloon that flew over the U.S. Russia hit Ukraine with more missiles today, killing at least 6 people as Ukrainian troops take back villages Russia had taken over.
The offensive is launched and Ukrainians are making progress, making advances.
NATO leader Jens Stoltenberg meeting with President Biden as the U.S. sends more military aid to Ukraine. And Belarus's president touts nuclear weapons Russia has put there.
Alexander Lukashenko says little by little Russia's tactical nuclear weapons have begun arriving in Belarus. With typical brashness, Lukashenko warned he wouldn't hesitate to use the weapons if faced with aggression, but he'd call his ally Vladimir Putin first. Belarus has a border with Ukraine and was used as one of the launching points for last year's invasion.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. We just got another inflation update on the wholesale level. Producer prices dropped last month slightly from April, and the year-over-year increase just 1.1%. The smallest gain in more than 2 years. Consumer prices also moderated last month, which is why the Federal Reserve is not expected to impose another interest rate hike after a meeting today. America's listening to Fox News.
.61 degrees at 8:02 on AM 560, The Answer, and good morning. I'm Mike Scott. One person in critical condition after falling onto the tracks on the CTA Tuesday evening. According to Chicago Fire, they responded to a red line station on 55th. When firefighters arrived, they found one individual with injuries. That person was rushed to the University of Chicago Medical Center in critical condition. A man driving a party bus is accused of striking a woman on a pedicab in Wrigleyville this weekend. Brian Rollins faces multiple charges, including misdemeanor DUI. 3 children and 2 adults are hurt after a school bus crash on the Dan Ryan near Guaranteed Rate. The bus rolled over yesterday near 35th The victims hospitalized with minor injuries. Defense attorneys for the man accused of killing 2 teens in Delphi, Indiana in 2017 now want certain evidence restricted from trial. Probable cause affidavit alleges a .40 caliber unspent round from Richard Allen's gun was found at the crime scene where Abby Williams and Libby German were murdered. Now, Allen's lawyers are filing a pre-trial motion asking for ballistics evidence to be left out of that case. A third city is interested in being the home of the Bears. Waukegan Mayor Ann Taylor sent a letter to the team expressing advantages of having a stadium in the northern suburb. Waukegan, she points out, is just 20 minutes from Hallis Hall in Lake Forest. Cubs rough up the Pirates 11-3, while the White Sox were behind early and lost to the Dodgers 5-1. The news, a service of Salem Surround. Go to surroundchicago.com today. It's 8:04. Time for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs. Now, the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Stuart Varney, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Wall Street will be reacting today to a fresh reading on inflation, the producer price index for May, the cost of things before they reach consumers, and the Federal Reserve releases its update on the economy and decision on interest rates today. European regulators are looking at breaking up Google's ad tech business. The European Commission is accusing Google of abusing its dominant role in the buying and selling of online ads across third-party websites and apps. Toyota shareholders have rejected a resolution that would have required the company to reveal more information on its lobbying related to climate change. The resolution was submitted by a Danish pension fund and 2 other European asset managers. Toyota says EVs are just one element in its approach to carbon neutrality. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Ginny Cosola, invested in you.
Charlie Kirk explains what we've become.
79 years ago, 77,000 U.S. troops participated in what is now known as D-Day. So what gets considered to be brave today? Basically the exact opposite. Today we have California State Senator Scott Wiener celebrating drag queens as this is the symbol of bravery. Those are the new heroes.
The Charlie Kirk Show. Afternoons at 1, right before Sebastian Gorka at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
If you have an IRA or 401k, please listen closely. My name is Jason Hansen. I'm a former CIA officer and New York Times bestselling author. Throughout my career, let's just say I've been in some hairy situations. And I believe right now the biggest threat facing Americans is they need to protect their wealth, which is exactly what I'm doing for my wife and 6 kids. And I believe the ultimate safe haven is physical gold and silver. You can protect your hard-earned retirement assets with a tax-free loophole that allows you to convert your retirement into physical gold and silver. The folks I use are Advantage Gold, and believe me, I've investigated the heck out of all types of people. Advantage Gold is the nation's highest rated gold company. They have the best process, pricing, and service. If you want to get your free gold and silver investment kit, please contact Advantage Gold right now, and you'll see how easy it is to protect yourself with precious metals. Call 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000. 800-900-8000.
Advantage Gold is not an investment advisor or a tax advisor. Consult with your financial advisor before investing.
Call 800-900-8000.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
Honey, I am like a different woman. I mean, finally one day I kept seeing that commercial and I said, what the heck, what do I got to lose? I started feeling a little bit better. I was doing more things. So I got my sister on them. I got my daughter on them. They couldn't believe the change in me. I can't say enough about them. I really can't. Those commercials that you all do is the truth.
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first preferred order. That's 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
What happens when America's debt bubble finally bursts?
The dollar's value would be destroyed along with the value of your 401k or IRA. And this would be a total catastrophe for the nation. Hi, I'm Dr. Ron Paul, and the debt bubble is just one more reason why I recommend diversifying your retirement accounts into physical gold. Gold can preserve your savings through almost anything. And if you take advantage of a gold IRA from Birch Gold Group, you pay 0 penalties or taxes when you transfer your current retirement funds. To learn more, text the word PROTECT to 989898, and my friends at Birch Gold Group will send you a free info kit on gold IRAs. Birch Gold is the only gold IRA company I trust, so text PROTECT to 989898 to request your free kit on gold IRAs right now.
It is 8:08. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. 34 minutes on the inbound Edens Lake Cook Road into the junction. Inbound Kennedy, right now it is an hour 25 from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. The Ike inbound 33 in from Manheim to the old post office. Dan Ryan stop and go inbound between Garfield and the Stevenson merge. We're looking at delays right now on the Veterans northbound between Army Trail and 290. Slow on the Reagan between York and the Tri-State. And right now on the Tri-State northbound, you're jammed as well between 95th all the way up to 31st. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Warmer day ahead. Clouds and sun will top out at 76. 61 right now. Next news at 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560 The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. You know, you've really changed since you started hanging around with the Ferrari set in Lake Forest.
What does that mean?
I got a package from the guys I'm playing in our golf outing with. When is that? The 22nd or something?
It's June 22nd at the McRae Golf Club, and I think we have one foursome left. AM560theanswer.com/golf to sign up.
Yeah, and I got
a nice gift. Well, I got T-shirts, Titleist golf balls, and a beautiful Ferrari red bag, black T-shirts, white T-shirts, hats, Nike hats. Some top-notch stuff.
The box that I got my care package in from the guys I'm playing with. It came in. What did you say when you saw the box?
I said, yours is from Walmart.
It's from Walmart, so?
So, I mean...
it must be the guys you're playing golf with from, Southern Illinois, you call it.
Central Illinois. DeWitt.
Yeah. That's good.
DeWitt,
That's Southern Illinois to you.
Well,
right.
it's Southern.
South of Taylor,
187.
Right, south of Taylor Street is Southern Illinois.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
so what's in the box? What's in the box?
A paper mache of your head.
Oh.
No, I got this. It's like a pullover with Dwight Country Club.
Let me feel it.
Dwight Country Club. So let me feel it.
Well, scratchy, itchy, otherwise known as cheap.
Wow.
Okay.
That's what I'm talking about.
How big do they think you are?
Hi, I'm large, Dan.
Yeah. Yeah. They supersized me a little bit with that. I'll give you that.
Okay, what else did you get?
I mean, but you fancy yourself this, like, woman of the people. And listen to yourself. You should play this back. How haughty you are. How dismissive. By the way, got this note. No, I'm not even going to read the note yet. What did you say about the golf balls? They sent me they sent me a box of Titleist golf balls, Pro V1Xs.
These put the lid back on.
These
are called hobo balls, and let me tell you why.
Really?
Because the box. Give me the lid. If people are watching this on our Signature Bank Studios, the lid is cracked right here, Dan. What they did is they found balls on the golf course. They washed them, they dried them, they re-sleeved them, and then they put them in a box. It's a very Mount Prospect Des Plaines move, but okay. What else you got?
Excuse me.
Hobos!
Excuse me. I play golf.
Yeah?
Uh-huh. These are not balls that were fished out of a pond, cleaned up, and repackaged. No.
I'm telling you, people have been known to do stuff like that, but okay.
You're just suspicious because they're country bumpkins, as you term them, not me.
I didn't.
These are the forgotten men and women in Dwight who you despise. Why don't you just say you hate them?
I don't hate them.
I got this
can relate to them.
Dwight Country Club hat.
That's nice.
No, you're just saying.
No,
you're patronizing us.
That is a nice.
You're patronizing us, me and them.
I'm not. Okay, what else did you get?
This came to me from the head of the Dwight Mafia. It was written in crayon. No, I'm kidding. But I'm trying to insult you before she does. Feel so bad for these people.
Oh yeah, they suffer so.
Dan, the south of I-80 yokels, as Amy has labeled us, are looking forward to playing golf with you to benefit the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Patriots. Yeah. Don't feel bad, though.
Oh, my God.
We hope this package of Dwight Country Club gear and a dozen Pro V1X golf balls are useful to you.
Used. Flea market,
Unbelievable.
Rosemont.
Unbelievable. We're curious because all the smack talk that has come from Amy in the lead up to the outing, if there's a wager being discussed between our groups. I'm willing to put my 2012 Ford Fusion with 230,000 miles against a Ferrari. See you both on June 22nd. You'll have to ask your Ferrari friends. That's not an ask I can make. I don't have those relationships.
I'll call the big guy Rick Mancuso today.
Yeah.
See if he wants to make that wager.
Yeah.
I doubt it. But
well, I mean,
you know,
if you lose, then you got like a Ford Fusion to give, the kid that you don't like when he or she turns 16. Honestly, you're just mean-spirited.
I'm not mean-spirited.
You're accusing them of committing golf ball fraud.
It is. You don't see that? There's
This is not. These are bought golf balls. Okay. These are real Titleists.
I need to see a receipt.
They're not like it's not like scrawled over an X out or a range. They scrawled Titleist.
That Walmart bag. I mean, that's
not a box. It's a box. It's just a shipping box. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with that?
It's from Walmart.
Oh my God.
Very lowbrow for a person like you. I mean, you have a home in Naples. My gosh. With a pool.
All right.
On the canal.
All right, Dwight Mafia. I mean, I hope you're hearing this. I mean, if you want to protest outside of our studio or something, I would understand it. I'll join it.
You're listening to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
If you're hiring, it can feel like trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. Like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Now try ZipRecruiter free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/FREE.
TV news. It's a love-hate relationship. Well, let's be honest. More hate. We agree. That's why we're different. Salem News Channel has assembled the greatest collection of conservative minds all in one place. Home to Charlie Kirk, Hugh Hewitt, Eric Metaxas, and more. There's finally a place on TV for lovers of freedom like you. Watch anytime on any screen, free 24/7. Find what you're looking for at snc.tv. That's snc.tv.
It just struck me. Ford versus Ferrari. Of a drag race.
Yeah, Ford
with the Fusion versus whichever Ferrari that Ferrari boy up in Lake Forest.
Sure, it'll be top of the line. I'll get Jeeves to fire up the engine.
I'll play the Christian Bale character, and you can play the Matt Damon character.
Sure.
Okay, boss. Role you were born to play.
Yeah. I'll talk lower.
Mike Scott can play the Lee Iacocca character. All right.
He's from Michigan. It'll work.
Guys, a lot of people talking about testosterone, but do your homework and be sure to go to a provider you can trust. I've been recommending my friends at Low T Center for 8 years. It's where I get my levels checked. Low T Center exclusively specializes in men's wellness. They check all your levels, not just your testosterone. covered by health insurance, and they check everything, including PSA, your prostate levels, as well as thyroid, liver and kidney function, cholesterol, glucose levels, and more. Low T Center has affordable and convenient options for treatment, including monitored self-inject treatment that ships directly to you each month, so there's no need to come to the center each week. Make your health a priority and schedule your annual health assessment at Low T Center today. It's covered by most health insurance or less than $100 cash pay. Visit lowtcenter.com to book your appointment online. That's lowtcenter.com. Tell them Dan Prof sent you when you do. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
It's summertime, and you want to keep the shop, warehouse, and other doors open for ventilation. Air circulation improves the well-being of your employees and customers, but open doors can let in the uninvited, like strangers, birds, rodents, and bugs. Industrial Door Company of Chicago, Inc. can help solve the problem with a full line of commercial screen door products designed with these specific problems in mind. Call Industrial Door Company of Chicago, Inc. now. Also, regular scheduled maintenance is the key, and Industrial Door Company of Chicago, Inc. has multiple levels of maintenance programs for your company's needs and budget. They'll ensure your doors, grills, gates, and dock equipment are working to specification to increase the useful life of your doors. Visit their website to see a range of products and services at industrialdoor.com. Call anytime, 847-258-5620. Their team will be there to assist in designing a solution that works best for you. Since 1982, the Industrial Door Company of Chicago, Inc. takes care of your doors so you can take care of business.
All right, I met a lady yesterday. She was so excited to run up to me and tell me about how much she loves Balance of Nature. She's been taking it for more than 5 years now, and she says without it, she gets nervous because she wants to feed her body vitamins from the earth, and that's fruits and vegetables, 31 different fruits and veggies in those capsules, real food, real science, real nutrition. So get the nutrition your body needs, get the nutrition your body craves, get Balance of Nature, because as you know, good nutrition is the foundation of all aspects of health. Here's the number to call, 800-246-8751, 800-246-8751. Use discount code Chicago. As you know, first timers get 35% off and free shipping, or simply go online to balanceofnature.com, discount code Chicago.
Are you a business owner with a strategic mission, a drive to succeed, and a plan for growth, but you just need the right bank? Hi, Mike Gallagher here, letting you know that Signature Bank is all about going the distance for commercial banking customers. It's what Signature Bank does every day. Their team understands that accessibility is key to their culture. In times like these, you want a bank that is there for you to weather the bad times and capitalize on the good. And with Signature Bank by your side, you can't go wrong. It's a true partnership. That's why Signature Bank in Chicago is my bank. That's right. I'm a customer. I believe in what they have to offer, from innovative tech and customized solutions to help your business grow and thrive. Reach out to my friends at Signature Bank. Call 773-467-5630, 773-467-5630, or visit them online at signaturebank.bank. That's signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank makes commercial banking personal. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. I don't know if people have heard, it is Pride Month this month.
Yes, you're right. That is. We're about halfway through.
Yeah.
And certain schools are doing certain things to celebrate LGBTQ+. One school in Massachusetts, it's a middle school, they encouraged kids last week to wear pink or any rainbow color to support the LGBTQ+AQ squared. And it didn't go so well. And this is what happened. It starts out with a school board meeting was held last night because of an incident, because of this event that they had.
These displays of intolerance and homophobia are unacceptable.
This type of intolerant rhetoric starts in the home.
Parents angry at town hall over intolerance at Marshall Simons Middle School. Kids were asked to wear rainbow clothes in honor of Pride Spirit Day, but some organized a counter-protest wearing red, white, and blue or black. The principal sharing a statement to families that Pride posters were ripped down, stickers ripped up. Some students chanted "USA are my pronouns," and students showing pride were intimidated.
It was an unruly disruption in fact, that was organized ahead of time.
While some parents were upset, others say it was overblown.
Some of the kids threw the stickers on the ground. But, I can only speak for my daughter. She didn't want to wear that to school. It's not that she wanted to hurt anybody's feelings.
She says her daughter felt coerced to participate in the Pride event and was offended by some of the messages, like this quote from Tennessee Williams.
Human heart cannot be straight. It is curves and winds. And my daughter just kind of said, Mom, that's offensive to me, who I am straight.
But even parents like her, opposed to the Pride Month celebration, say the ripping of posters was wrong.
I think destructing any property is wrong. I think, I just think that was wrong.
Parents and community groups now calling for the town and school board to act and support diversity, equity, and inclusion. The incident sparking discussion at home on both sides.
My thing that I teach my kids is just be kind. And I wish the schools would just kind of pump the brakes on what they're shoving down these kids' throats.
The issue of pride in schools is very controversial. I understand that. I think we need to start at a place of commonality.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line 64636. Type in DA. And then a quick comment. School board had the meeting last night. They're going to be hiring a dye director because of this. And they want students that were, allegedly tearing posters down off the wall. They want them to be suspended or see some kind of
imprisoned, executed,
or detention, at the very least, a detention.
My pronouns are USA. I mean, that's a hate group.
Yeah.
That's a hate group. Those kids. There's no punishment that is too severe for those kids that didn't want to celebrate and wear the prescribed uniform for the LGBTQ plus celebration.
So it continues. If you don't agree with them, then you're a hate monger. Then you're, a terrorist. Then you're a domestic terrorist, I should say. But USA are my pronouns. I mean, they don't have a right to say that.
Abigail Schreier, the author of Irreversible Damage, there's a good piece over at her Substack. Explaining this again, but in no uncertain terms. This has nothing to do with kindness. It has nothing to do with tolerance. She writes, gender ideology is not a pendulum, and it will not swing back with a little help from inertia. Gender ideology is a fundamentalist religion, intolerant, demanding strict adherence to doctrine, hell-bent on gathering proselytes. I do not use the term religion metaphorically or lightly. She's using it literally. And she goes through the sacraments in this religion. Really take this in. The baptism, the selection of pronouns, often a new name, greeted with all the celebration of a conversion. Megyn Kelly is just getting hip to this, but she still can't figure it out. She's representative of a lot of people. You still don't understand what's happening. Oh, we'll have a special category for them to play sports. So you're indulging them. You're celebrating their conversion. You're taking the conversion as real. You're starting from their premise. Do you understand? No, you don't. It evangelizes aggressively through social media influencers who claim to know a teen's truest self better than her parents and to love that teen so much more than her parents ever could. Doesn't strike you as odd or fundamentalist for all those who cower before the prospect of the religious right doing this or doing that? All this rejection of evangelical Christians. Right. It's not a rejection of religion. It's a replacement. Therapists, teachers, and school counselors play evangelists to numberless kids at American schools. There's no physical evidence that any of us possesses an ethereal gender identity. Of course, it actually may be disprovable. There's a good deal of evidence against it. No matter, the adherents take it on faith. The notion that each of us is born with a gender identity utterly separable from our physiology, known only to us, imagines gender identity as the secular version of the soul. Brilliant insight. We got baptism. We got evangelizers. We have their soul. Of course, we have blasphemy laws. You have to punish heretical conduct. California and New York have criminal and civil penalties for healthcare workers who intentionally misgender patients and landlords who intentionally misgender tenants. We had an example of this, a cultural one, yesterday with KJP, Corinne Jean-Pierre, after she got done saying, "Oh, well, tisk tisk" to the person walking around topless, the woman walking around topless during Trans Celebration Day at the White House. After she got done with that, she was asked a question about men playing women's sports. Here was her response to that reporter.
What would the president say to parents out there who have daughters, let's say in high school, for example, who are worried that their daughter may have to compete against a male, a person born male, and there could be directly in physical athletic competition and worry about their daughter's safety?
So look, what you're alluding to is basically saying that transgender kids are dangerous. It sounds like that's what you're saying. Well, you're saying that their safety is at risk. Yeah, but you're laying out a broad example or explanation of what could potentially happen. A broad example explanation that is dangerous. That is a dangerous thing to say. That essentially transgender kids we're talking about are dangerous, and so that's something that I have to call out, and that is irresponsible.
Blasphemer! Blasphemer! May you burn in the fires of hell, blasphemer! Says the high priestess, Corinne Jean-Pierre. Oh, really? That's calling trans kids dangerous? I'm asking a question of parents with daughters who play sports. Say they wrestle and they're worried about a boy hurting their daughter. That can't happen? Did you see that UFC fight?
Oh, that was barbaric. Just sickening. Sick.
Blasphemer! Blasphemy laws. Adherents to gender orthodoxy reserve their greatest ire for apostates, the detransitioners. How dare they leave the church? And finally, gender ideology is full of holidays. Right. We're in the midst of observance. 1 or 2 in every calendar month except August.
Well, that's going to change there.
They're regarded with all the sanctity of religious festivals. As in, I can't believe Abigail would schedule her talk just before Pride Month. Sacred Pride Month. Religion. Fundamentalist religion. They are the source of the intolerance.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
8:38, Toby Young, General Secretary of the Free Speech Union and Editor-in-Chief of the Daily Skeptic, will tell us why men like him are sitting targets. 8:38.
But now into the newsroom we go. Here is Mike Scott.
It's 8:31, 61 degrees. Former President Trump taking aim at the special prosecutor in his federal case.
2 things Jack Smith clearly disdains. You take a look at this guy. He looks like a thug.
Speaking to reporters and supporters at his golf club in Bedminster, New Jersey, Trump called Jack Smith a raging, uncontrolled, quote, Trump hater, end quote. In Florida, Senator Marco Rubio sounding off on the federal charges against the former president.
So this is what we're going to be focused on while China is opening spy bases in Cuba, flipping places like Honduras, just in our own hemisphere, not to mention what they're doing all over the world.
Rubio said the charges against the former president are unlike anything we've ever seen before. Senator J.D. Vance agrees and now plans to delay the confirmation process for Justice Department nominees over the federal indictment of Donald Trump. The Ohio Republican accused Attorney General Merrick Garland of using the agency to target political opponents.
We're going to hold that process up because every single person we give him, it's very clear, even if they're a good person, even if I might vote for them, it's very clear that what they're being used for is to attack Joe Biden's political opponents.
Vance will begin holding up DOJ nominees on the Senate floor. Fed watchers are expecting the Federal Reserve to stop raising interest rates for the first time in 11 policy meetings following a two-day meeting that ends today. Some illegal migrants are calling Daly College in Chicago home for the time being. The group was moved from a shuttered YMCA on the north side to the Southwest Side College yesterday. The move had been delayed several times by the city after pushback from local residents. Riot Fest is expected to take over Chicago's Douglas Park in September, and while that event will draw in a big crowd, people in neighborhoods surrounding the park say they don't want it to happen there anymore. The Park District will vote on a provisional permit for the festival as soon as today. Riot Fest has been held at that park for the last 8 years. Pulitzer Prize-winning author Cormac McCarthy is dead at the age of 89. His publisher confirming the news from his home in New Mexico. McCarthy is most well known for his books that later became films like No Country for Old Men and All the Pretty Horses. Cubs 11-3 winners over the Pirates, while the White Sox were 5-1 losers to the Dodgers at Dodger Stadium. 8:34 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher says we have bigger fish to fry.
I almost fell off the couch. Do you know they're changing the names of all these military bases that have Confederate generals in the title? Like Fort Benning in Georgia, changing the name. There's like 5 or 6 military bases. That's what we're worried about? This is what the Democrats sit around and worry about?
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
You know what the Democrat mafia does to me every day. They get my blood pressure up. You listen to me and you hear my blood pressure go through the roof. I don't need high blood pressure, so I take 120 Life. 120 Life is a Chicago company that developed a juice drink made from natural ingredients. It helps control blood pressure. And if there's anyone who needs blood pressure control, well, arguably it's me. Let me tell you what's in 120 Life. Pomegranates, tart cherries, cranberries, hibiscus, beetroot, magnesium. A recipe I don't have time to make myself. We know these ingredients are good for you, and 120 Life makes it simple to take. You just grab a bottle. Go to 120life.com. That's 120life.com. Order a 2-week trial pack of juice and use the coupon code LIBERTY to save 15%. Unlike the government, there's a money-back guarantee. So when the Dems get your blood boiling, do what I do. Order 120Life at 120life.com. Use coupon code LIBERTY to save 15%. 120life.com. That's 120life.com. Do it today.
Hi, this is Steve. I'm in Italy, away from my business. But I'm not worried about the office or my absence from it. I'm confident because I've got Turnkey on my side. They've helped me solve several problems for my business, so I can finally relax for a bit while I let the business work. Not only did Turnkey help with my IT problems, their expert team gave me a custom consultation that found additional profit centers in my company. They've helped me focus on a new direction for my business. It's not easy to relax when you own a business, but with our partnership with Turnkey, I feel confident, resolved, and ready to deliver. Now, I'm going to relax, have a Peroni, and depend on the direction Turnkey has helped me embrace. They can help your business too. Visit turnkey.pro to start a conversation today. That's turnkey.pro.
The pros at Turnkey share your values. They know IT and they know small business. They're Chicagoland's small business champions. Visit turnkey.pro to book your appointment today. That's turnkey.pro.
8:36. Let's get an update on the roads. We do that, of course. Team Hochberg Traffic Center, a service of America's Best Contacts and Eyeglasses. Look sharp, shop smart, and take care of your eyes. Visit America's Best for a professional, comprehensive eye exam, plus 2 pairs of glasses, starting at just $79.95. Shop online or book an exam at americasbest.com, americasbest.com. The Edens, about 30 minutes. Lake Cook Road into the junction, while the Kennedy staying at 90 minutes. O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Stevenson inbound 36 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. The Ryan 26, 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Jammed in the locals. Garfield up to the Stevenson. Tri-State stop and go northbound 95th. We'll see brake lights all the way up to 31st. And Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. We'll have a warmer day, clouds and sun, and a high of 76. We're up to 62 at O'Hare. Next news at 9. And Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. America First with Sebastian Gorka, today at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560 The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Did you catch the protesters accosting Trump's motorcade as he made his way to that Miami courthouse yesterday?
Oh, yeah. I couldn't. I was like must-see TV. I watched the whole time. And, yeah, there was one guy who, well, you'll hear it. He jumped in front of the motorcade. So they didn't really do a good job setting up barriers, separating the fans and protesters from former President Trump.
Yeah, there he is waving. He's waving. There he is. Thumbs up, Caitlin.
Oh, it's nice that Harvey Firestein can make it to the protest.
There, the police, the Secret Service now pulling someone, the Secret Service after someone ran. And obviously now the Secret Service pushed some people back and the officers pushing people back. Oh my God!
Wonderful play-by-play.
So a little chaos here, Caitlin.
That was followed by the customary 2 minutes hate. You know 2 minutes hate, the customary portion of the day where the faithful offer this protest.
But even as we grasp at victory, there is a cancer, an evil tumor, growing, spreading in our midst. Shout! Shout! Shout out his name!
You hear them calling traitor and death, right?
Yeah.
Goldstein. I mean, Trump. And then after you're done with your performative 2 minutes hate, then it's time
for what?
For the love. It's time to embrace. Screech at the big screen with Goldstein, I mean Trump, and then the orchestral music comes on for the embrace of Ingsoc. No, I mean the Biden administration. 1984.
Again.
For more on this, we're pleased to be joined by Toby Young, General Secretary of the Free Speech Union, Editor-in-Chief of the Daily Skeptic. Toby, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
We were just talking about gender ideology as a fundamentalist religion, referencing a piece done by Abigail Schreier. And it seems like the gender ideology is a denomination in the larger religion of wokeism. You wrote recently for the Catholic Herald about the religious nature of the New Left. What do you think? Does that make sense? Gender ideology specifically as a denomination or a sect in the larger calling?
Yeah, well, it's quite a disorganized religion. It's a church without a holy see, which is the body that stipulates what the orthodoxy is in the Catholic Church. So it's quite fluid, and it's quite hard, therefore, to determine what is a sect or a denomination and what is part of the broader religious movement or the church. But I think it's quite a useful way of looking at wokeism. It seems to have followed the same pattern as other great awakenings in our past. So periods in recent modern history in which Christianity has spread very quickly and with some fervor via evangelical movements, both in Britain and America. And typically they have a sort of 50-year lifespan, but sometimes they're a little bit shorter. So if the Great Awakening is seen in that context, and if we accept that social media has probably accelerated its rise, if we think of it as the first new religion of the 21st century, and we think of it as happening on the same sort of timescale, but perhaps a little bit accelerated to previous Great Awakenings, then it looks as though it started around 2013 and is peaking now, and hopefully will have largely faded out by 2033.
Well, it fills a void, right? I mean, this is happening concurrent to the decline in Christianity and adherence to any of the faith traditions, with maybe the exception of Islam, but the decline of Americans identifying with the Judeo-Christian values and the institutions that promote those values upon which the country is founded, as Chesterton famously said, when people stop believing in God, they don't believe in nothing, they believe in anything, and here comes the anything.
Yes, I mean, I think there's certainly something to that theory, and one corroborating piece of evidence that the God-shaped hole left by the ebbing away of the Christian tide is that the most energetic, zealous promoters of the religion of wokeism are upper middle class white women. And amongst that demographic, church attendance has fallen more dramatically in the past 25 years than any other demographic. So it does seem to be playing that role for them. But against that theory, we ought to take into account that merely being a Christian doesn't necessarily give you robust antibodies to this new religion.
Yeah.
There are plenty of Anglicans in Britain who are, woker than woke, and they think embracing this new religion is a way of filling the pews in their church and making Anglicanism relevant to a younger generation. And they also seem to be they just seem to have been swept up by the woke religious movement. They think they need to decolonize their churches, take down plaques and statues which have some connection to the slave trade. They preach about anti-racism. They change the lyrics of hymns to make them more inclusive. Catholics seem to have slightly more robust antibodies, and that's, I think, one reason, not the only reason, but one reason why the woke religion has spread less quickly on the continent of Europe because of its Catholic rather than its Protestant heritage. English-speaking countries, I think, are particularly vulnerable because of their Protestant heritage, including the United States, and it has a lot in common with nonconformist Puritan religious movements of the past. But it does seem to be spreading into the continent of Europe, France, Italy, Spain, Portugal, in the last couple of years. It's almost as though the spread was delayed, but finally the virus, the woke mind virus, as Elon Musk calls it, is overcoming the Catholic antibodies and infecting vast swathes of people across continental Europe.
Well, as a priest friend of mine said once, which stuck with me, speaking to the point of, you can have Christians that don't have the antibodies that fall prey to the wokeism as a religion, even while they still identify as Christian. Well, he said, many attend church, few understand. So even churchgoers may not have quite a handle on the rigors of the religion to which they identify. And there's a lot of people, as you well know, who sort of look at religion as something that, even if they consider their faith tradition as something that you can deal with on an a la carte basis. I'll take a little bit of this and a little bit of that, but I won't be here. And the cultural power over the top that is antagonistic towards organized religion, particularly Christianity, that has an impact, particularly on the young as well.
Yes, it does. The speed with which wokeism has captured the sort of commanding heights of the cultural economy is really quite astonishing. It seemed to have begun life. The lab where this ideology was manufactured were grievance studies departments in Ivy League universities. But there's been a lab leak, and it's now infected virtually every institution in Britain and America, including the armed forces, the intelligence services, places where you wouldn't expect them to be particularly vulnerable to this kind of hard left, postmodern, neo-Marxist gobbledygook. But by God, it seems to have found fertile ground, even in what we thought of as the most robust parts of our society. Going back to your earlier question, I think one of the roles that the kind of militant trans wing of the woke religion plays is that expressing your fealty to trans rights activists' dogma, claiming that, you can't see that the person standing before you is a man or a woman. You have to wait for them to announce their gender pronouns, denying that sex is binary and immutable, pretending there is this kind of powerful reason to embrace trans ideology because some people are born intersex, and even some other species seem to have intersex characteristics like ants. I mean, it's all complete nonsense, but I think the fact that it's nonsense and the fact that it requires its adherents to deny reality, deny what they can see in front of their faces with their own eyes, that's part of its power, because you're asking people to do something inherently ridiculous and intellectually humiliating. It's a way for them to express their fealty to the cult. It's a way for them to say, I am now such a devotee. I am such an observant member of this new church. I'm willing to prostrate myself before its altar and humiliate myself by spouting absolute nonsense.
Well, also,
I think that's part of the role it plays.
Well, sure, and also it's sacramental. I mean, you have to receive the sacraments if you want to be saved.
That's true. That's true. There are a lot of sacraments. I mean, another is engaging in racial self-flagellation.
Right.
So that seems to be one of the rituals that you're required to perform regularly in order to be an upstanding member of the woke church. It also has its own liturgy. There's Black History Month, Pride, although we are referring at the moment to June as Pride Month, but I've heard other activists refer to the summer of Pride as though one month.
Why not? It's the year of Pride.
1 month.
Well, there's an event every day and every month except for August, which I'm sure is going to be changing. But is that like that over there where you are? Is this Pride Month?
Yeah, you cannot escape the pride flag. You leave your house, it's it's virtually someone following you around, waving it in your face. But yeah, we may look back on this era in which we only had a Pride Month rather than a Pride Year as a golden era, in which there were occasional moments in which someone wasn't waving a pride flag in your face.
Well, the other thing this raises too is the way we think about politics. And you have people. I'm not a part of the culture warrior set. I'm not involved. I'm not worried about social issues. I'm just worried about economic issues, or I'm not worried so much about economic or trade issues. I'm just worried about moral issues. Those are false dividers, because if you're dealing with something that is religious in nature, then it's going to inform all aspects of life, and that's going to be the intent of its adherents.
Yeah, no, absolutely right. I mean, people who think that there is a kind of Chinese wall separating social culture war issues from economic issues probably haven't been in the workforce for some time, because anyone in the workforce will tell you that they are constantly being asked to engage in various forms of diversity training, such as unconscious bias training, anti-racism training, which are, virtually they're the 21st century equivalent of sending people to Chinese communist re-education camps. Lots of major companies now have commitments to ESG, which is their way of professing how woke they are. We saw with the debacle of Bud Light entering into a sponsorship arrangement with Dylan Mulvaney, that the idea you can separate economic activity from social activity is for the birds. The two are now absolutely inextricable. Woke has conquered the private sector just as it has the public sector.
Toby Young, General Secretary of the Free Speech Union, Editor-in-Chief of the Daily Skeptic, Toby, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
If you're talking about it, Dan and Amy are talking about it. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
Honey, I am like a different woman. I mean, finally one day I kept seeing that commercial and I said, what the heck? What do I got to lose? I started feeling a little bit better. I was doing more things. So I got my sister on them. I got my daughter on them. They couldn't believe the change in me. I can't say enough about them. I really can't. Those commercials that you all do is the truth.
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first preferred order. That's 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
You can shed that fat and be slimmer for this summer. No more wearing cover-ups or T-shirts in the pool. NJ Diet will help you the natural way. There are no shots, no hormones, and no surgery. You will lose a contractually guaranteed 20 to 40 plus pounds in only 40 days with NJ Diet. They use your hair, saliva, and blood work, along with bioenergetic scans, to personalize natural solutions and supplements that get your body into the fat-burning zone so you can finally lose that weight. Then NJ Diet uses DNA info to help you keep it off. Best of all, it's contractually guaranteed. You're fully supervised the entire time to make sure you're burning fat, not just losing water. And you even get Dr. T's personal email and phone number. Locations close by in Skokie and Oak Brook, or available from home with live online video consultations. Call 855-5NJ-DIET, 855-5NJ-DIET, or schedule your consult today at njdiet.com. That's njdiet.com.
Are you a driver of a Ford Powerstroke diesel engine? Tired of taking your Ford Powerstroke diesel in to be misdiagnosed or paying for repairs that don't fix the problem? Well, bring your vehicle to the diesel headquarters, Remke's Garage. The shop is equipped with state-of-the-art diagnostic equipment and highly trained technicians. Take it to the experts. Take it to Remke's Garage. Remke's Garage specializes in Ford Powerstroke, Chevy Duramax, Dodge Cummins, Mercedes Sprinter, and Isuzu diesel engines and transmission repairs. At Remke's, they'll make your vehicle repairs convenient by offering a free commercial loaner vehicle.
Remke's Garage, where you won't spend $1,000 to fix a $100 problem. Call for details and to schedule an appointment at 800-5-REMKES. Or visit Remke'sGarage.com. Remke's Garage, your diesel headquarters.
America First with Sebastian Gorka. Today at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
If you're selling your home or purchasing a new home, you need to call Team Hochberg, your trusted local lender. Team Hochberg is offering every listener the Perks at Work benefit, which can save you thousands of dollars on your next real estate transaction. Here's how it works. When a Team Hochberg affiliated realtor sells your home, they'll reduce their fee up to 1%. When a Team Hochberg affiliated realtor helps you purchase a home, you will receive up to 1% of their commission in the form of a closing cost credit. Team Hochberg will credit all of your loan origination fees, and our affiliated attorney will reduce his fee. Last year, a couple who was buying and selling a home saved close to $9,000 with the Team Hochberg Perks at Work program. To learn how you can save thousands of dollars on your next real estate transaction, please give me a call now at 855-56-DAVID or visit our website, 56david.com. That number again is 855-563-2843 or visit our website, 56david.com. Lower.com, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 1124061.
One of the most important decisions you can make as a parent is where you send your kids to school. But these days, it's never been harder to know which school is best. Public schools have changed a lot, and you might be thinking about sending your child to a private Christian school. But you also know that private school can be expensive, and in this economy, you might think it's not an option. Well, think again. With halfpriceschools.com, you can purchase tuition vouchers for half the price of normal tuition for private schools. For nearly 10 years, HalfPriceSchools.com has helped families from all over Chicagoland make the dream of private school a reality. And that can be the reality for you and your child, too. Just go to HalfPriceSchools.com, search for a private Christian school near you, and purchase a voucher. It's that easy. Visit HalfPriceSchools.com. That's HalfPriceSchools.com.
This is Carol Platt-Liebau for Townhall.com. Opinions vary on the legalities of President Trump's handling of classified documents surrounding his recent indictment. Federal Judge Eileen Cannon and a jury will sort through the charges. But most concerning is the unequal application of prosecutorial discretion in the dogged pursuit of President Trump. Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden both have had serious issues with mishandling classified documents and related legal violations, yet Trump is the only one so far being prosecuted. For America to survive as a free country, citizens must have confidence in the impartiality of its justice system. That in turn depends on unbiased, non-political application of the law, a standard that seems to have been thrown out when it comes to President Trump. From Russiagate on, norms have been flouted repeatedly with no one held to account. In their zeal to stop one man, the left is jeopardizing America's rule of law. Laws must be enforced equally.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, move over deplorables. Hillary Clinton has a new name for you. She was on some show, it's some podcast, Pod Save America, yesterday, and responded,
Former Obama staffers.
Yeah. Responding to Trump's indictment.
The response that we've seen in polling from Republicans suggests that they're going to stick with him, that it's more of a cult than a political party at this point, and they're going to stick with their leader.
Oh, more than a cult, than a political party.
You're so 216. Update your act, both you and Hillary.
What do you mean? Well, she went from deplorables to that. All right, thanks to Justin Kosick, our technical producer, Quinn McCarthy, our executive producer. We're back here bright and early tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. Now let's head into the newsroom and get the latest on everything from Mike Scott. Good morning, Mike.
Cubs crush the Pirates, and a slow start dooms the White Sox. WIND Chicago News Time, 9.
A Republican